Chapter 167. Within moments. Qin Youjiao's eyes were red as she sobbed. Second brother, Jiao hurts. With that said, Qin Youjiao still walked forward, wanting to hug Qin Yu's waist and act coquettishly. Even the others who saw this scene were moved. Thinking about it, no matter how angry Qin Yu was at Qin Youjiao, his anger would definitely dissipate when he saw his goddess sister like this. But in the next second, a scene that left everyone dumbfounded appeared. After Qin Yu saw Qin Youjiao pouncing on him, a layer of defense automatically appeared all over his body, as if he had been approached by germs. Then, before Qin Youjiao could hug Qin Yu moved to the side and avoided Qin Youjiao's contact. As for Qin Youjiao, she fell to the ground. She fell miserably and was in a sorry state. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. They even forgot to help Qin Youjiao up. How dangerous. After a while, Qin Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Qin Youjiao did not touch him. Otherwise, if Gu heard about it, he would be unclean. Second brother, Qin Youjiao was stunned from the fall. When she regained her senses, she looked at Qin Yu in shame and disbelief, her face livid. She had never been treated like this since she was young. Besides, this person was her second brother. Don't shout. It'll make people misunderstand our relationship. There was no emotion in Qin Yu's ink-black eyes. His deep and superior eyes made him look unreasonable. These words made everyone even more confused about the Qin family's affairs. Wasn't Bei Yunj the one who had been cut off? Then what was going on between Qin Youjiao and Qin Yu? Wasn't Qin Youjiao the most doted on by her brothers? However, looking at the situation in front of him, Qin Yu would rather Qin Youjiao fall in front of him than touch her. Those who didn't know better would think that Qin Youjiao was sick. Is it because mom hates Bei Yunj that second brother thinks that I did this? Qin Youjiao bit her lip and asked in a trembling voice, ignoring the injuries all over her body. The emotions in Qin Yu's eyes were unclear and there was a faint mocking smile on his thin lips. He actually treated a person like Qin Youjiao, who was ruthless to herself, like a little white rabbit in his previous life. However, when the others heard this, they all thought that they had heard the inside story of a wealthy family. It turned out that Qin Youjiao and Qin Yu did not have a good relationship because of Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj's methods were indeed amazing. First, she had received the Qin family's acknowledgement, and now, even Qin Yu was coaxed into submission. However, it was no wonder. After all, Qin Yu was not at home all year round and did not know anything. At a time like this, you still want to drag Gu down? Qin Yu's question made Qin Youjiao's body stiffen. Soon, tears filled her eyes again and she said aggrievedly, "Second brother, I didn't." Suddenly, the door of the office beside her was pushed open and the teacher was shocked when she saw Qin Youjiao lying on the floor covered in blood. What's going on? Everyone was silent. After all, she couldn't say that Qin Youjiao had fallen herself and wanted to hug Qin Yu later, but he avoided her. That's why it dealt a second round of damage, right? Ridiculous. Hurry up and help him up. What are you all looking at? After the teacher finished speaking, she suddenly paused and realized that Qin Yu was among the people watching the show. Qin Yu looked at Qin Youjiao with an indifferent gaze. He snorted softly and the corners of his lips curled up. Qin Youjiao, do you think everything will be fine just because you have someone protecting you at home? Chapter 168. The emotions in Qin Yu's eyes were so indifferent that it made one's heart turn cold. Next time, if you find trouble with Gu again, I won't give you face either. I didn't. Qin Youjiao's eyes widened, but her heart was filled with fear. Qin Yu snorted. Isn't it very clear if you did what happened in the forum? Hearing this, Qin Youjiao felt as if she had been splashed with ice water and the coldness seeped into her bones. However, very quickly, the teacher helped her up and interrupted everyone's thoughts. What are you all looking at? Is there anyone who can help her? Send her to the hospital first. At this moment, Qin Yu did not want to waste time on Qin Youjiao. He tidied his clothes and walked into the office. He wanted to see which brat dared to touch his little princess. In the office, Lu Yuanxi could not help but tug at Bei Yunji's clothes secretly, wanting to talk to Bei Yunji. "Pei, shut up." Before anyone could react, Qin Yu strode forward and pulled Bei Yunji behind him. He glanced at Lu Yuanxi darkly. "Who allowed you to talk to my sister?" The rest of the people were speechless. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. Did he have to go through procedures to talk to his deskmate these days? "You're Bei Yunji's guardian?" The dean recognized Qin Yu at a glance, but he did not expect Qin Yu to appear in front of him as Bei Yunji's guardian. When the form teacher beside him saw Qin Yu's cold gaze, he thought of how the brothers in this family almost fought with each other, let alone Lu Yuanxi. Hence, he hurriedly explained, "Brother Bei Yunji, this is not Bei Yunji's puppy love." Hearing this, the coldness on Qin Yu dissipated a lot. However, before the dean could speak, he heard Qin Yu say coldly from above, "Tell me, who wants to defile my sister?" These words made people suspect that Qin Yu was not here to solve the problem, but to seek revenge, soon. The dean gave a fake smile. "Mr. Qin, this isn't someone else's problem. We received a report that someone in Class 7 is in a puppy love. Coincidentally, we found a letter between Bei Yunji and that boy yesterday. Are you saying that it's my sister's problem?" Qin Yu chuckled. His ink-like eyes were filled with a faint coldness. The dean looked embarrassed. He didn't expect that the young masters of the Qin family were all bewitched and thought that Bei Yunji was innocent. He forced a smile on his face and said weakly, "That's the truth. You're the head of teaching, right?" Qin Yu's eyes were filled with mockery as he pulled Bei Yunji into his arms. "Did you see my sister's face clearly? If you fall in love at such a young age, you'll only be seduced." Bei Yunji, Lu Yuanxi and the homeroom teacher, were the brothers of the Qin family so obsessed with their sister that they had lost their minds? The dean did not expect this to happen when he called Bei Yunji's parents over. His expression was ugly. In the end, he took a deep breath and handed the letter to Qin Yu. This letter fell out of Bei Yunji's homework book. Other than Bei Yunji, no one else in Class 7 has transferred schools. Hearing this, Qin Yu took the letter and looked at it. One of the sentences was written, "Thank you for appearing. From the moment you transferred to Class 7, I couldn't take my eyes off you. I'll see you at the school pavilion on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. After reading it, the coldness around Qin Yu was terrifying. P.S. End of 2 chapters. Why are all of you so hardworking? You little rascals. Chapter 169. Unable to give up. Was this brat too stubborn? How dare he have designs on Qin Yu's sister? Qin Yu's handsome face darkened. At this moment, Bei Yunji happened to glance at the girl who had just chatted with Qin Yojiao. This seemed to be their class's Chinese class representative. Bei Yunji's eyebrows moved slightly and she noticed that the girl was tidying up her exercise books while looking at them from time to time with sparkling eyes. Seeing this, Bei Yunji's lips curled up. Suddenly, everyone heard Bei Yunji say slowly, "Teacher Wen, am I the only girl who transferred from our class?" With that said, Bei Yunji saw from the corner of her eye that the girl froze and did not dare to breathe. Yes, the form teacher took a deep breath and nodded. Then, Bei Yunji raised her eyes slightly. "Where's the person who changed shifts?" In an instant, the girl, who had been able to calm down just now, dropped the exercise book she was holding onto the floor. Similarly, her loss of composure attracted everyone's attention. "I remember. Xie Ziyue transferred from Class 1 to Class 7 in Year 1. The form teacher suddenly remembered. "Teacher Wen, are you suspecting me?" Xie Ziyue's face was filled with disbelief and her voice couldn't help but raise. "Teacher Wen, are you siding with Bei Yunji because of Bei Yunji's background?" Another girl in the office immediately grabbed Xie Ziyue's hand and mocked the form teacher. "Bei Yunji's family is rich, but you can't slander others for no reason, right? Teacher Wen, have you forgotten who won glory for our class this time and got into the top 20 of the cohort?" At this point, she glanced at Bei Yunj with disdain and changed the topic. Unlike a certain someone who always causes trouble and thinks she's so great. Is it your place to talk about my sister? Qin Yu's cold voice sounded. This made the girl who had spoken up for Xie Ziyue turn red and pale. She didn't expect Qin Yu to be so protective of Bei Yunj. How many girls of this age hadn't liked Qin Yu? At this moment, it was the girl's first time seeing Qin Yu's handsome face and she couldn't help feeling wronged. Even if Bei Yunj is your sister, she will only drag you down and ruin your reputation. She bit her lip as if she was thinking for Qin Yu. Qin Youjiao is more like your sister. You don't have to do it for Bei Yunj. Suddenly, Qin Yu snorted softly. His magnetic and sexy voice was filled with extremely cold disdain. So what if I have a good reputation? Can you compare to half a strand of my gu? These words. Qin Yu, so what if you're popular in the entertainment industry now? The girl pointed at Bei Yunj, the sourness and jealousy in her chest making her unable to think. A person like her is a scourge. My gu is my life. No one has the right to point fingers. Qin Yu's expression was lazy and he suddenly smirked. As for the other person you mentioned, can she be compared to my gu? I, Qin Yu, only have one biological sister, and that's Bei Yunj. Not to mention the other students, even the teachers were confused by these words. Bei Yunj had not appeared in the Qin family for more than 10 years. Suddenly, she had become the legitimate young lady of the Qin family. And now, Qin Yu was starting to disown Qin Youjiao. Wasn't she the princess that the Qin family doted on? Chapter 170. But now, no matter who looked at it, they felt that the rumors were fake. This Qin Youjiao didn't look like someone who was doted on at all. At this moment, Qin Yu's ink-like eyes were cold and his tone was impatient. Regardless of whether he talked to my baby or not, let that brat come out now. Haha. A toad still wanted to touch his swan princess. He was tired of living. This. We still don't know who is in a relationship with Bei Yunj. The dean's expression changed. Hearing this, Qin Yu turned to look at the dean with an even colder gaze. He smiled faintly. So, just based on this letter, you're insisting that my sister is in a relationship? Not really. Before this, a classmate reported that a student from class 7 was in a relationship. I also saw that letter fall out of Bei Yunj's workbook when I was inspecting. The dean was terrified. After all, this was the second young master of the Qin family and the most popular best actor in the entertainment industry. Dean, the situation is not clear yet. We can't say that this letter is from Bei Yunj, the form teacher couldn't help but say. Teacher Wen, you mean that I'm the one in a relationship? Xie Ziyue suddenly became agitated. She covered her lips with both hands and her shoulders trembled slightly. It was as if she had suffered a great grievance. The form teacher was speechless. Teacher Wen, as teachers, we need to be fair. The dean suddenly said in a low voice. In his opinion, Bei Yunj was ignorant and incompetent and would only cause trouble. However, Xie Ziyue was different. She was the one who received the scholarship every year and was even the vice class monitor of class 7. She was a typical good student. Between the two of them, Bei Yunj was the only one who was in a relationship. The form teacher's lips moved, but in the end, he could only say, Dean is right, Bei Yunj, didn't you refuse to admit it? Then explain yourself and make us believe you. The dean's tone was stern. Whether I admit it or not has nothing to do with whether I need to explain or not. She chuckled lazily. You. Also, Dean, do I need to hide my relationship? Bei Yunj seemed to be stating the truth casually. For a moment, it was hard to refute him. After that, she sneered and tapped the table with her fingertips. If that's really the case, how embarrassing would he be for me? How could he be so unpresentable? Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but burst into laughter when he heard Pei Yan's unique words. However, after laughing, he felt Qin Yu's dark gaze from the side. Lu Yuanxi, as expected of his brother, his sense of danger was extremely strong. The dean flew into a rage out of humiliation. Bei Yunj, don't be unreasonable. Hengda's director is so capable now. Qin Yu's cold voice sounded slowly. Suddenly, the dean's expression changed. No. Mr. Qin, you misunderstood. My Qin family has invested a lot in Hengda this year. It's more than enough to change the teaching director for the second year. Qin Yu's words immediately made the dean's face pale. The rest of the people did not expect Qin Yu to threaten someone in public for Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj's thin eyelids moved, and after glancing at Qin Yu, she remained silent. Suddenly, Xie Ziyue spoke. I remember that before. Ren Pengfei often came to our class. She gritted her teeth. Chapter 171. However, her friend froze when she heard what Xie Ziyue said. Didn't Ren Pengfei come to class 7 often to look for Xie Ziyue? The girl stared at Xie Ziyue with wide eyes and suddenly remembered the ambiguous relationship between Ren Pengfei and Xie Ziyue. So this letter was not from Bei Yunj, but from Xie Ziyue? But then, when the girl came back to her senses, she looked at Xie Ziyue with a complicated expression. Finally, she lowered her head and chose to remain silent. She could not testify against her friend just because of Bei Yunj. Ren Pengfei? The form teacher had some impression of this student. He seemed to be from class 1. Moreover, he was from the same school as Bei Yunj and had transferred to Hengda. However, one of them had transferred in the second semester of senior high. The other had transferred in this semester. Yes, Ren Pengfei said himself that Bei Yunj had pursued him before. Xie Ziyue turned to look at her friend. Aya was the one who told me about this. Isn't that right, Aya? Aya stiffened and nodded. Yes. Hearing this, the atmosphere became even colder. Even the form teacher felt that in this situation, it would be very difficult for Bei Yunj to clear her name. Do you know Ren Pengfei? Lu Yuanxi asked Bei Yunj in a low voice. Bei Yunj was silent for a while before she pursed her red lips and said coldly, I know him. Strictly speaking, it was the original owner who knew Ren Pengfei. He was the boy from the next class whom the original owner knew when she was in high school. He was also one of the bullies who had bullied the original owner. At first, the original owner did not suffer much malice when she was in high school. But inexplicably, one day, Ren Pengfei started to pester the original owner. This caused the original owner to be looked down upon by the girls in the class. They thought that the original owner had deliberately seduced him. Otherwise, why would Ren Pengfei like her? Later, after a period of pointing fingers at her, the original owner could not take it anymore and rejected Ren Pengfei in front of everyone. But the original owner did not expect that this would be the beginning of her nightmare. Because of Ren Pengfei's instigation, everyone began to maliciously attack her and humiliate her. After recalling all this, Bei Yunj slowly rubbed her fingertips. Suddenly, Aya said, I heard that Ren Pengfei transferred schools because of a girl, right? As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of the dean and the homeroom teacher changed. Indeed. Ren Pengfei transferred schools because he impregnated a girl in that school. Later, his father gave a lot of money to the girl's family to keep the peace. Then, he changed schools for his son. Hurry up and get Ren Pengfei here. The dean's face darkened. The students of Hengda would never allow such humiliation to exist. If Bei Yunj and Ren Pengfei really did something shameful, he would definitely ask the principal to kick them out of Hengda. After someone went to look for Ren Pengfei, Bei Yunj's eyes fell on Xie Ziyue. Xie Ziyue's body stiffened. She didn't dare to look Bei Yunj in the eye, but she pretended to be calm. Love at this age is really fragile. Bei Yunj's eyes were bright and unscrupulous. She did not care about the dean's expression, who looked like he wanted to eat her alive. Bei Yunj, what nonsense are you talking about? Xie Ziyue's teeth were almost chattering. She held on for dear life. Dean, if we find out who wrote this letter in the end, what will you do? What do you plan to do? Bei Yunj asked slowly. Chapter 172. The dean didn't even think about it. You'll be expelled. Hearing this, Xie Ziyue almost lost her balance. Beside her, Xiaoya's heart skipped a beat. She didn't expect the matter to blow up so badly. In the past, the school had caught many couples in puppy love, but at most, they would reflect on themselves or be punished. But this time, the situation was obviously serious. Okay. Bei Yunj smiled carelessly. 10 minutes later. Just then, a boy who didn't even look handsome walked in. He had a strong body and wheat-colored skin. Dean, why are you looking for me? With that said, Ren Pengfei suddenly noticed Xie Ziyue beside him and his heart skipped a beat. But soon, he noticed another beautiful girl next to him. She looked a little familiar. After that, when Ren Pengfei regained his senses, his eyes widened in disbelief. Your pay, Ren Pengfei. Who did you send this letter to? The dean slammed the table angrily, scaring Ren Pengfei. Then, Ren Pengfei noticed the gazes around him. When he met Lu Yuanxi's eyes, he was stunned. Why was Lu Yuanxi here? But soon, Ren Pengfei stopped thinking about this question. He glanced around and did not expect to meet Qin Yu's cold eyes. They were filled with a strong hostility and danger. Ren Pengfei's legs almost turned to jelly. Why was Qin Yu here too? Besides, he was looking at him with such a terrifying gaze. Ren Pengfei, do you think this letter was from Bei Yunj or Ziyue? Aya said immediately. Hearing this, Ren Pengfei immediately understood what was going on. He looked at Bei Yunj maliciously and was surprised. It turned out that Bei Yunj was so beautiful. He had heard people talking about her a while ago and thought it was nonsense. In the past, before he transferred schools, he had confessed to Bei Yunj because he lost a bet. However, he didn't expect an extremely ugly girl to reject him. Therefore, he taught Bei Yunj a lesson. However, he didn't expect them to meet again. It was really fate. Bei Yunj, Ren Pengfei. The form teacher interrupted sternly. Even he was afraid of Qin Yu's gaze now. After being yelled at, Ren Pengfei had no choice but to restrain himself. However, his heart was itching, and his gaze drifted to Bei Yunj. He cleared his throat, rolled his eyes, and laughed. Director, if you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't blame Bei Yunj. After saying this, Xie Ziyue and Aya heaved a sigh of relief. Ren Pengfei looked at Bei Yunj, who was staring at him with a faint smile on her face. She looked beautiful and seductive, and his heart softened. If this matter gets out of hand, I'm also willing to take responsibility. His voice did not stop. Qin Yu had already walked forward, grabbed Ren Pengfei's collar and punched him ruthlessly. In an instant, screams could be heard. I think you're tired of living. His tone was cold. Qin Yu exuded a dangerous aura from head to toe. His handsome and arrogant eyes were filled with coldness. A strand of loose short hair fell in front of his forehead, making him look refined and wolfish. Mr. Qin. The form teacher's eyes widened. She never thought that Qin Yu would really do something in school. He was King calling his parents to solve the problem, not to find trouble. Mr. Qin, control yourself and calm down. This is a school. You have to pay attention to your image. The dean also felt a chill run down his spine. He did not dare to go forward and could only persuade him from the side. However, Qin Yu only looked down at Ren Pengfei. Get up and talk to me properly. P.S. Be good. Maintain your top 10 ranking. Update 5 to 6 p.m. Chapter 173. Ren Pengfei did not expect Qin Yu to hit him in public. His heart was filled with fear. At this moment, the eyes of the person who was secretly leaning against the door widened. Qin Yu actually hit someone for Bei Yunj? Wasn't this brother too godly? F***ck, what kind of godly brother did Bei Yunj get? Qin Yu actually hit Ren Pengfei for Bei Yunj just now? With such a brother, what is Bei Yunj thinking? Does she like Ren Pengfei? Qin Yu is really unlucky to have Bei Yunj. Compared to Qin Yojiao, Bei Yunj is useless. Someone could not help but mock. The discussion at the door did not stop. At this moment, a chuckle was especially eye-catching in the quiet office. Bei Yunj walked in front of Ren Pengfei and smirked. Don't you think you're very stupid for being so reckless? You. Ren Pengfei felt inexplicably flustered under Bei Yunj's gaze. However, after regaining his senses, he said maliciously, Bei Yunj, are you afraid because you don't dare to admit it? Bei Yunj could not be bothered to look up. We've known each other since year 1. Oh, so you still dare to admit it? Ren Pengfei was also scheming in his heart. Now that Bei Yunj was the young lady of the Qin family, her status had risen. If he could make the Qin family acknowledge his relationship with Bei Yunj, then he would be considered to have climbed up the ranks of a wealthy family. A strange glint flashed past Ren Pengfei's eyes. However, in the eyes of Xie Ziyue, her expression darkened and her hands clenched into fists. Ever since I transferred to Class 7, you can't take your eyes off me? Bei Yunj suddenly repeated what he had said in the letter slowly. She smirked. Really? The moment she finished speaking, Ren Pengfei's expression froze and a trace of panic flashed past his eyes. Although we used to be schoolmates, we didn't know each other. I only noticed you after you transferred to another school. Ren Pengfei was still feeling smug, thinking that his words were watertight, but when Xie Ziyue and Aya heard this, their faces turned pale. I see. Bei Yunj laughed ambiguously and glanced at the dean calmly. Dean, did you hear that clearly? After the dean regained his senses, his expression turned ugly. Xie Ziyue, Ren Pengfei, are the three of you treating me like a monkey? Just now, these two people had said that Bei Yunj was pursuing Ren Pengfei. In Ren Pengfei's words, he and Bei Yunj had become strangers again before she transferred schools. After Ren Pengfei was yelled at, he was still at a loss. Aya panicked. Director, this. Ren Pengfei said it himself. Do you have proof? Suddenly, Lu Yuanci sneered. Aya panicked. Suddenly, Xie Ziyue said calmly, Director, even if there are different versions of this matter, it doesn't mean that Bei Yunj was wrongly accused. The dean's face darkened as he glanced at Xie Ziyue. He still didn't want to believe that a good student would frame someone else. I don't think what Xie Ziyue said. It didn't make sense. Director, it's not time for you to retire yet, right? Bei Yunj asked casually. Hearing this, the dean's face almost twisted. What did she mean? Did she say that he was senile? Bei Yunj, as a student, before the dean could finish speaking, the door was suddenly pushed open. Chapter 174. Master Du, Qin Yu was stunned for a moment. He did not expect Washidu to come. Why was he here? At this moment, everyone's eyes landed on him and they could not regain their senses. She looked at the man's handsome and superior face, his well-tailored suit, and his light gaze, with an inexplicable aggressiveness, and an innate sense of oppression. Come here. Washida's low and pleasant voice sounded carelessly. After that, when everyone was in a daze, Bei Yunj went forward and grabbed the hand of the cold and dignified man in front of her. Her eyes curved. Why is brother here? With that said, suddenly, Qin Yu froze. He suddenly realized that Gu had not called him second brother for a long time. Washida's thin eyelids lifted and his gaze landed on her indifferently. He stretched out his hand lazily and pinched her cheek punishingly. Are you causing trouble again? The man's voice was clearly lazy and indifferent, but for some reason, one could hear the indulgence and casualness in it. I'm not. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, the dean said cautiously, Sir, are you from the Qin family too? My surname is Hua. Washida's tone was slow and unhurried. His cold and distant appearance inexplicably made people even more nervous. However, at the same time, he allowed the little girl beside him to lower her head and play with his slender hand. The sudden sense of indulgence made people feel that the air in the office had become sweet. Was this still a student's parent? Those who did not know better would think that he was a student's puppy love. At this moment, Lu Yuanci was also staring at the man not far away and felt frustrated. He had seen this man once. So at the same time, he knew the difference between him and this man. Mr. Hua, although the dean did not know the identity of the person in front of him, from Qin Yu's attitude towards Huashidu just now, it was enough to tell that he was either rich or noble. He took a deep breath and said with a smile, "This matter is mainly because of Bei Yunj, then." Before the dean could finish speaking, the girl with her head lowered suddenly smirked. In the next moment, Bei Yunj turned around, went around the man's waist, and hid behind him. Then, he saw her holding Huashidu's hand with one hand and the waist of his suit with the other. She stuck her head out from the inside of his bent arm. She raised her head. Her beautiful eyes were clear and harmless. "Brother, this has nothing to do with me." Everyone's eyelids twitched when they saw Bei Yunj pretending to be obedient. "Do you dare to repeat your arrogant and presumptuous behavior just now?" However, although the man glanced at Bei Yunj casually, he didn't say anything. His casual tone was a little intimidating, but it was obvious that he was indulging Bei Yunj. "If my daughter does something wrong in school, as her parent, I will take her back and educate her. But this time, the main reason I'm here is because I can't see my miss being wronged." As soon as he finished speaking, the dean's expression changed drastically. Even Ren Pengfei and the other two students' faces turned pale. Qin Yu was someone who listened to her explanation just now. However, the moment this person entered, it was obvious that he wanted someone to give him an explanation. Of course. I won't let the students suffer." The dean could only put on a fake smile. Chapter 175. Brother, it's actually not a big deal. Bei Yunj, who had started to cause trouble, never disappointed anyone. He was like a troublemaker who had been spoiled by an incapable ruler. "It's mainly because the dean insisted that I'm in a puppy love." "Right, dean?" The dean was speechless. "Puppy love?" Huashidu looked up. Bei Yunj looked at Ren Pengfei and said with a smile, "Student Ren." At this moment, when he heard Bei Yunj calling him, Ren Pengfei's back turned cold. "It's you?" The man's gaze was deep and cold. The oppressive feeling landed on Ren Pengfei, making him not dare to breathe loudly. Facing such a strong and dangerous man, Ren Pengfei's legs had long turned weak. But coincidentally, then, Ren Pengfei's parents rushed over. "Pengfei, what's wrong with your face? This is too much. Who dares to touch you? I must make him pay the price." Mrs. Ren rushed over and hugged Ren Pengfei with heartache. Her tone was sharp and angry. "Who knew?" Then, Qin Yu's voice sounded slowly. "It's me." Hearing this, Mrs. Ren felt a sense of familiarity. When she turned around and saw Qin Yu's face clearly, she was stunned. "Second young Master Qin. Your son is very bold. He even dares to have designs on my sister." Qin Yu's tone was cold and indifferent. Hearing this, the Ren couple finally understood what was going on. But then, Mrs. Ren forced a smile and said, "How can you blame my son for this? Then why doesn't my son mess around with others? Why does he have to mess around with your family?" Although Mrs. Ren did not dare to continue, her meaning was obvious. Mrs. Ren had the same thoughts as Ren Pengfei. A smile appeared on her face again, but she did not notice how cold the man's gaze was. "Since this has happened and second young Master Qin's sister has suffered, our family will be responsible." Hearing this family's shameless words, Qin Yu laughed in anger. He turned around. "Master Du, what do you say about this?" Hearing this, the Ren couple turned around and saw a handsome and dignified man calmly flipping the silver lighter in his hand. The crisp sound was accompanied by a sense of coldness. His expression was so dark that it was hard to tell what he was thinking. Yet, he sneered faintly, "Yes, I have to take responsibility." Master Du?" Not long after, Papa Ren, who had always been indifferent, suddenly felt that this address was very familiar. The next moment, Tsing Su walked in from the door and said respectfully with a smile, "Master Du, the Ren family's business partners for the past few years have been tabulated. Do you need the Hua Corporation to release the news to those partners now?" Hua Corporation. Papa Ren quivered and immediately reacted. His back started to break out in cold sweat. Was it the Hua Corporation? How could it be the Hua Corporation? Didn't Fei only offend the Qin clan? Originally, along the way, he thought that perhaps he could spread the news to let the outside world know that there was an undeniable relationship between the daughter of the Qin family and the successor of the Ren family. This way, a bad thing would become a good thing, and the Ren family would be pulled up as well. Let the Qin family suffer in silence. But now, why was the Hua Corporation here? Who had the guts to make the Hua Corporation suffer in silence? Master Du, it's the child who doesn't know any better. Please don't be angry. Papa Ren's scalp turned numb when he thought of the Hua Corporation's methods. Then. Chapter 176. At this moment, Ren Pengfei, who had been slapped by his father, was completely stunned. He covered his cheek and felt that there was blood in his mouth. He could not speak clearly. "Dad, why did you hit me? Who asked you to do such a bastard thing?" "Bastard, I'll beat you to death today." Father Ren's face was gloomy and distorted. He kicked Ren Pengfei fiercely. The people around them were shocked when they heard the muffled sound. Especially Xie Ziyue. She looked flustered. She did not expect that the man beside Bei Yunj would make the Ren family not dare to make a sound. "Why did you hit Fei, Mother Ren widened her eyes and reached out to pull Father Ren back. However, she did not expect Father Ren to shake her off ruthlessly and push her to the ground. He said viciously, "If it weren't for you, B*tch, doting on him, would he be so lawless? If you dare to stop me again, be prepared to divorce me. Take this good-for-nothing thing and scram." Perhaps because she had never made Father Ren so angry before, Mother Ren was afraid and aggrieved. He was just a child from another family, and he actually treated his own son like this? However, at this moment, when Huashidu saw this scene, his eyes were calm. He only lowered his eyes and covered Bei Yunja's eyes with his slender and well-defined hand. Bei Yunja's vision was pitch black. She could only turn her head and raise her head in Huashidu's direction. "I can't look?" "Yes." Huashidu's low and magnetic voice flowed out from the tip of his sexy throat. Bei Yunj was not interested in the scene of domestic violence. After turning her head, she stood patiently beside the man. When Lu Yuanxi saw this scene not far away, his eyes darkened subconsciously. This was the first time he saw Bei Yunj showing weakness to someone. It was also the first time he saw her being so obedient to someone. After about 20 minutes, Huashidu spoke indifferently. "President Ren, it's better to restrain yourself in school." The form teacher's eyelids twitched. "Why didn't you say that just now?" Initially, Father Ren kept glancing at Huashidu several times, hoping to hear Huashidu stop. Now that everyone was lying on the ground, unable to stand up, this person finally spoke. "This bastard only knows how to cause trouble for me. Master Du, I'm really sorry. I really didn't think that he would do such a thing." Papa Ren's words sounded as if this was Ren Pengfei's first time committing a crime. Then, he said flatteringly, "Master Du, don't worry. In order not to make Miss unhappy, I will immediately complete the transfer procedures." Huashidu put down his hand that was covering Bei Yunja's eyes. "As a parent, I don't want any stain on my daughter's reputation." After Huashidu finished speaking, his cold gaze glanced at the dying Ren Pengfei on the ground. It was obvious that Huashidu was referring to him. Ren Pengfei trembled when he sensed Huashidu's gaze. He pointed at Xie Ziyue and said in a trembling voice, "Father, I've never been in a relationship with Bei Yunj. My girlfriend is Xie Ziyue." "Really, believe me." "What? You idiot, why didn't you say so earlier?" Papa Ren widened his eyes. Ren Pengfei was at a loss for words. Mama Ren's heart instantly ached and she turned to look at Xie Ziyue ferociously. She went up to Xie Ziyue and slapped her, as if venting her anger. Little vixen! How dare you seduce my son? Chapter 177. Xie Ziyue's head was buzzing from the slap. At the same time, she was frightened by Mama Ren's fierce aura and pushed back in fear. I didn't, not yet. Mama Ren grabbed Xie Ziyue's hair and slapped her left and right as if she was venting her anger. Was it your idea, you little vixen? If you didn't instigate him, would my son have done such a thing? Now that she knew that the man beside Bei Yunj could not be provoked, Mama Ren only dared to bow to him and step on him. Fortunately. Not long after, the form teacher went up and pulled her back. Her face was accidentally scratched by Mama Ren. As for Xie Ziyue, her originally fair and clean face was already red and swollen. Her wounds were bleeding, and her crying appearance was even more tragic. Seeing this situation, Bei Yunj's eyes were cold. She only glanced over indifferently. Master Du, look at this. Papa Ren's face was still full of smiles as he nodded and bowed. Actually, it's just a misunderstanding. After I transfer the child to another school, he won't be an eyesore to miss anymore. What do you think? There's no need to transfer schools. Huashidu put the silver lighter back into his trouser pocket. Our Yunyun is very noisy, but she's still a girl. The man took a wet wipe from the coffee table and held Bei Yunj's hand. He slowly wiped her palm clean, gentle and indulgent. Since the Ren family also has business in other cities, it's not bad to develop in other cities. As soon as he finished speaking, Papa Ren's expression changed. Master Du, their Ren family had relied on Yunchang's rapid development and good opportunities to develop quickly. However, if they were to go to other places, it would be difficult for the Ren family to advance. President Ren, there are consequences for everything you do. Huashidu's thin eyelids did not move. His noble and handsome eyes were still unreasonable. As for your son, this is just a conflict between children. It won't affect the relationship in the industry. After sending him abroad for 6 to 7 years, he will learn to be obedient. As soon as he finished speaking, Papa Ren's pupils constricted violently and his face turned ashen. Mama Ren almost fainted when she heard this. Huashidu's words sounded like he did not intend to fuss over it. However, the underlying meaning was clearly telling Papa Ren that if the Ren family did not follow his instructions, then it would no longer be a conflict between children. It would affect the Ren family's lifeline. After Papa Ren left, Bei Yunj also returned to the classroom. Qin Yu thought for a moment and his eyes landed on Huashidu. Master Du, when did you have such a good relationship with my gu-er? Those who did not know would think that Huashidu was his gu-er's biological brother. At the thought of Bei Yunj calling Huashidu brother sweetly when she saw him, Qin Yu almost felt jealous. Didn't you ask me to take care of her? The handsome man said casually. Qin Yu thought for a moment. He seemed to have told Huashidu this before. However, he did not expect Huashidu to really listen. Brother, you're really something. I'll treat you. I have something to do, so I'll go back to the company first. Before Qin Yu could finish speaking with a smile, Huashidu glanced at his watch and left. Qin Yu, half an hour later. Sitting in the nanny van, Qin Yu saw more than 10 calls from Qin Youjiao. He sneered. There was only coldness in his eyes. Then, he picked up the phone. Chapter 178. Hearing Qin Youjiao cry sadly, Qin Yu did not waver at all. In fact, impatience even appeared in his arrogant eyes. Are you done? Second brother, I'm the one who grew up with you. Qin Youjiao hid the unwillingness in her eyes and sat on the bed, her voice only sobbing. I also hope that my gu-er wasn't adopted wrongly from the start. Qin Yu's words made Qin Youjiao's heart turn cold. All of this belongs to gu-er. Second brother, you. Qin Youjiao opened her mouth. I've already found the information of the users who slandered Gu on the forum. I'll get someone to send you a copy later. Qin Yu snorted softly and gave a faint smile. Mom looked for me recently because of this evidence, right? In that case, Qin Yojiao, I'll give you a chance. Think about it carefully. Do you plan to reveal your true identity or this evidence? Choose one of the two. In an instant, Qin Yojiao shuddered all over. No matter which one she chose, she would become a laughing stock in the end. Second brother, I don't want to. I don't want to choose. Second brother, I know I was wrong. Qin Yojiao, you don't have the right to call me that. Qin Yu's tone was full of mockery. Okay, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. I hope the answer to choosing one of the two today will appear. Qin Yu's lips curled up. Of course, it's impossible to not announce that you're the fake young lady of our Qin family. I'll make you leave the Qin family. If he didn't know Mrs. Qin's temper, she might have done something to Bai Yunj because of Qin Yojiao. He wouldn't let Qin Yojiao jump around until today. But no matter what, Qin Yojiao was a scourge. He had to throw this time bomb out of the Qin family as soon as possible. Qin Yu fell into deep thought. The entire morning. The news of Ren Pengfei being taken away on an ambulance and Bai Yunj's two older brothers arriving had spread throughout the school. F***ck, Qin Yu is really handsome. My legs almost turned to jelly. What? I heard that Bai Yunj has an older brother who's even more handsome than Qin Yu. Could this be Bai Yunj's older brother? I don't know. These people only know how to make wild guesses, and no one dares to ask. At this moment, Lu Yuanxi, who heard the discussion in the classroom, frowned. He turned around and looked at Bai Yunj. Is that really your brother? Who? Bai Yunj asked slowly. That Mr. Hua. Lu Yuanxi was upset. Bai Yunj's eyes curved when she heard this. She said lazily, yeah, isn't my brother very eye-catching? Lu Yuanxi's eyelids twitched. I hope our deskmate relationship won't be ruined by your tacky taste. Bai Yunj smiled. Not to mention Lu Yuanxi, even Chu Zhixing could feel Bai Yunj's protectiveness. He's Master Pei's brother. Of course, I can't be picky. Chu Zhixing praised him very sensibly. Hearing this, Bai Yunj looked at Chu Zhixing with admiration. Then, she handed a paper bag to Chu Zhixing. Take this back and open it. What is this? Chu Zhixing was stunned. People with good taste will always have unexpected surprises. Bai Yunj chuckled lazily. Lu Yuanxi, who seemed to have been mocked and isolated, was speechless. Chu Zhixing froze for a moment and touched the packaging in the paper bag instinctively. He felt that this logo was very familiar. Chapter 179. Impossible. I must have seen it somewhere before. Chu Zhixing scratched his head and thought about the English letters on the logo. After a while, Chu Zhixing's body suddenly trembled, and the pen in his hand fell. Wait a minute. This was the universal logo of Country R's Medical Research Institute? Previously, it wasn't that his father hadn't thought about asking for help from these famous research institutes in the medical field. However, the conditions of these research institutes had always been harsh. They had to go through layers of reviews before they could get a chance. As for Chu Zhixing, he was rejected at the first review. After coming back to his senses, Chu Zhixing quickly took out the paper bag. After confirming it again, a stormy sea of emotions surged in his heart. It was really the logo of Country R's Medical Research Institute. Chu Zhixing looked at Bai Yunj in disbelief. Master Pei, where did you get this? A friend gave it to me. Chu Zhixing, who almost fell off his chair, was speechless. A friend from Country R's Medical Research Institute? Chu Zhixing felt that his understanding was shattered once again. Back then, he was very clear that Bai Yunj might have been the one who manipulated the headlines in Tieba. However, he pretended not to know to avoid causing trouble for Bai Yunj. But now, Chu Zhixing was completely dumbfounded. He had never thought that Bai Yunj would actually know the people from Country R's Medical Research Institute. They were a group of immortals. Bai Yunj suddenly said, "Don't use the previous ones." Stephen had said that the side effects of those old drugs were very big. Causing Chu Zhixing to become fat was only one of the side effects. Coincidentally, the new potions she brought were newly developed by Stephen. After using this drug for 2 to 3 months, Chu Zhixing's condition would improve without any side effects. At the same time, Bai Yunj's words stunned Chu Zhixing. Then, when he remembered that Bai Yunj had taken his injection some time ago, he immediately understood. Chu Zhixing's nose inexplicably turned sour. "Thank you." He raised his head, his black eyes shining. "Master Pei, I will definitely catch up with your footsteps and not embarrass you." One day, he would also be able to help Master Pei. Lu Yuanxi, who was writing a self-reflection, stopped. Has Fatty Chu gone mad? Chu Zhixing, although you're biased, you're still above average. Do you need to chase after my desk mate? Lu Yuanxi even suspected that Bai Yunj had given Chu Zhixing some kind of bewitching potion. This fanboy state of worshipping a big shot was simply frightening. Who knew? Chu Zhixing turned his head and coldly looked at Lu Yuanxi with a look that said, "You know nothing about power." Lu Yuanxi, very good, he's really crazy. At the hospital. When Mrs. Qin went to buy food, Qin Yojiao took out her phone. Her eyes were dark and her pretty face was a little distorted. Her expression was full of resentment and unwillingness. She couldn't help but grit her teeth. Since Qin Yu asked her to choose, she had no choice. Otherwise, she was also afraid that Qin Yu would do something to ruin her life. After all, the current Qin Yu was too unfamiliar. Bai Yunj, I won't let you off. Qin Yojiao bit her lower lip and after a while, she still wrote a post. 10 minutes later. The internet was bustling again. Many people reposted and commented on Qin Yojiao's post crazily. They didn't expect the drama of a wealthy family to be so exciting. Qin Yojiao, this time, I have to stand up and admit it. First of all, I'm sorry that I let everyone down. Chapter 180. In the school forum, I exposed the post about Sister Yunj because I didn't want Sister Yunj to go home. I'm really sorry for letting down everyone's trust and liking. At the same time, I want to apologize to Sister Yunj solemnly. I'm sorry, Sister Yunj. The picture Qin Yojiao posted was a handwritten apology letter, which seemed very sincere. In the comments section, there was another heated discussion. No way, no way. Qin Yojiao actually did such a thing? Is she afraid of threatening her position in the Qin family? Let's not talk about the past. The future is promising. Jiao Jiao is very good. She took the initiative to admit her mistake, hug Jiao Jiao. You can't do this again, pitiful. I still think that Bai Yunj has something to do with Qin Yojiao being able to do such a thing. She made Qin Yojiao self-destruct so quickly. Bai Yunj is really capable. I'm a student of Hengda High School. I'm also very shocked that the person who posted this is Qin Yojiao. But isn't it true that Bai Yunj sucked the blood of the Qin family? Soon. Qin Yojiao's fans started to control the comments and the public opinion gradually reversed. Bai Yunj took her grandmother to the best restaurant in Yuncheng for a meal. I wonder whose money she took to be filial. Grin. I don't want to say anything else, but Qin Yojiao is still in the hospital. Can't Bai Yunj be a human? Must she force her to her death? Oh my god, Bai Yunj is indeed not a simple character to be able to return to the Qin family. The once doted young lady of the Qin family is now being forced to such a state. Pitiful, I only realized now that it's really good to be a public figure. There are fans who control the comments. The one who was apologized to even has to be scolded. Grin, because Qin Yojiao had many die-hard fans, the comments section was soon filled with fan control comments. Even those sarcastic comments about Bai Yunj were deliberately liked by the fans and became trending. And Bai Yunj was even compared to Qin Yojiao. Even director Lin, who was photographed by a student last time, became a cold and greedy leech in the words of fans and righteous passers-by. After scrolling through these comments, Qin Yojiao heaved a sigh of relief and gradually felt smug. Although this incident had caused a small number of fans to leave, and there were even more haters. But it was worth it to trample Bei Yunj to this extent. However, half an hour later. Backstage. Brother Yu, Qin Yojiao, whom you asked me to keep an eye on, has already posted something. The assistant handed Qin Yu a bottle of water and passed him the phone. Hearing this, a mocking look appeared in Qin Yu's eyes. It seemed like this Qin Yojiao knew how to make a choice. However, after Qin Yu scrolled through a few comments, his handsome face gradually darkened. The smile on Qin Yu's lips was cold. She really knows how to gain sympathy. Most of the comments section was actually scolding Bei Yunj. He reprimanded Bei Yunj for sucking the blood of the Qin family. His words were extreme. Brother Yu, did you quarrel with Miss Qin? The assistant asked cautiously. It was his first time seeing Qin Yu treat Qin Yojiao like this. Besides, it was for that new younger sister, who had never appeared before. Qin Yu snorted and threw the mineral water bottle to the assistant. Don't mention her to me. Then, Qin Yu sat down. Before the assistant could ask again, he saw that he was editing a post. Brother Yu, you. The assistant's eyes widened in disbelief. Chapter 181. If it was really just siblings throwing a tantrum, Qin Yu wouldn't have done such a thing. It was obvious that they had broken up. The assistant was dumbfounded. However, even if Qin Yu did something that might affect his reputation, he didn't dare to interfere. After all, this person was Qin Yu. Soon, the internet exploded again. Everyone saw that Qin Yu had posted a post personally. Qin Yu, in the past 17 years, the kindness of raising me is greater than the heavens. As her elder brother, I owe Director Lin a thank you. Director Lin taught me very well and she has always been beautiful. Love and brightness, kindness will last forever. Picture. The picture was a photo of Qin Yu and the old lady taken a few days ago. The moment this post was posted, everyone thought of Qin Yojiao's post. Wasn't Qin Yu obviously responding to Qin Yojiao? This slap to the face was too ruthless. Not only did he tear apart those self-righteous fans who called the old lady a bloodsucker, he even tore apart Qin Yojiao. Every word was saying that Qin Yojiao had no moral bottom line. As expected of the best actor, he never showed mercy when tearing people apart. Soon, the comments section was occupied by fans of various families. Let me take a look. Let me take a look. F***ck, is Brother Yu domineeringly protecting his sister? Sob, my husband's photo is so good. No way, no way, no way. The two sisters are tearing each other apart and Qin Yu is standing on their side? No wonder Jiao Jiao's condition hasn't been good recently. Can the Qin family be fair? Goodbye, the Jiao fan above, is there something wrong with your brain? Your main character isn't even saying anything about the old lady and you're not letting my brother Yu say anything? What's the matter? Are you planning to tear us apart? Sure, we don't mind either. We can help your main character raise his status. The moment Qin Yu's fans came up, Qin Yojiao's fans were terrified. After all, who didn't know the fighting power of Qin Yu's fans? Usually, almost no one in the industry dared to provoke this group of sisters. However, it didn't take long for strange comments to appear. Why does this old lady look so familiar? The person above, there's no need for that. She's the director of the orphanage. How, do you know her? F***ck, Bei Yunj used to live in an orphanage? No wonder. It's a fact that it's difficult to catch up to Qin Yojiao due to the lack of congenital conditions. Master laughed. The moment Qin Yu spoke, Bei Yunj gained so many fans who adore her. No matter what Qin Yu thinks, aren't this old lady and this new Miss Qin just greedy for the Qin family's money? Soon, this comment was liked and placed in the top 3 trending topics. Following that, many of Qin Yojiao's fans began to feel aggrieved. Sigh, it's so hard to chase after celebrities. As long as I'm Qin Yojiao's fan, I can't speak the truth. Our Jiao Jiao is just a flower of wealth. She can't compare to other people in terms of social experience. I heard that orphanages are quite messy, upstairs, that's right. You can't imagine the dark side of children who come from an orphanage. At this moment, many of Qin Yojiao's fans seized the opportunity to start a conspiracy theory. He even implied that Bai Yunj was not the daughter of the Qin family and that everything was a lie. But who would have thought that in the next moment, a pornographic account would make a statement? F***CK. It's really Dean Lin. Qin Yojiao's fans, can you wake up? Don't offend someone you shouldn't. Chapter 182. Awesome, so the director of the orphanage has such a background too. I'll give Bai Yunj a like, I'm dying of laughter. Someone you can't offend? You're so amazing. You know more than everyone, at this moment. The account was so angry that he laughed. However, not long after, he sent another reply. Indeed, Jiao fans are all primary school students. Search for Lin Longjun online. Don't act like a retard all day long. Seeing this comment, many of Qin Yojiao's fans were angry, but they still searched for that name. Soon, a Baidu encyclopedia appeared. Lin Longjun, PhD in biology, former director of Yunqing University's Faculty of Biology, and an academician of the Academy of Sciences. Winner of the 48th Janes Biology Award, specializing in molecular biology and systems biology. He is now retired. Everyone? What the hell? Were they dreaming? These honors felt like a big shot that they had to memorize in their high school textbooks had suddenly appeared in the entertainment industry. Did they break through the dimension? F***CK. The former director of my alma mater. I worship Director Lin. Ah, my idol. I'm crying. It's really Director Lin. The pioneer of biology in the country. I was caught by my roommate and asked me to come and see my idol. I didn't expect it to be Director Lin. Director Lin is my motivation to get into Yunqing University. She's also the person I'm most proud of in my youth. Wait a minute, are there any requirements to register for the orphanage? I think my son is quite suitable too. Ah, Bai Yunj has made a killing. Who doesn't want to be doted on by Director Lin? Director Lin was famous for her good temper back then. Not long after, the comments below Qin Yu exploded. A few hours later, some big shots in the scientific research field who obviously did not use social media registered personal accounts and reposted this post. Everyone looked at these credentials. The principal of Yunqing University, the dean of biology of Yunqing University, the founder of the Tsinghua Research Institute. One by one, the big shots who could let them memorize hundreds of words more in high school came out and reposted to support their old friends. This was a famous scene in the scientific research field. What was even more eye-catching was that the official account of Yunqing University, the highest university in the country, directly reposted and commented on Qin Yu's post. Yunqing University, Dean Lin donated all the patent fees back then to support the public welfare of the abducted children. You will always be the Director Lin that we are proud of, // Qin Yu. The moment the post was forwarded, Qin Yojiao's fans fell silent. However, no one had forgotten the comments about Bai Yunj and Director Lin. I'm going to cry. Director Lin is such a good person. She went to open an orphanage in her later years and insisted on doing good deeds. Yet, she still has to be humiliated like this. Goodbye, I've turned from a fan to a hater. Disgusting. This time, it was your main character who admitted that he had slandered Director Lin. Smile, I'm dying of laughter. Ha 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 ha, Yunqing University unfollowed Qin Yojiao. That's too protective. That's right. All of Qin Yojiao's fans in Yun University have automatically stopped being her fans. Who isn't Dean Lin and Du Wei? The daughter that Principal Lin raised is my daughter too. Oh no, it's my collection. No wonder I haven't seen Bae Yunja's movements. The child raised by director Lin is so low-key. Right now, all of Qin Yojiao's fans were panicking. No one had expected such a reversal. Chapter 183. The director of the orphanage that raised Bae Yunj was actually a famous researcher? Is this world a fantasy? Because of the sudden exposure of director Lin's identity, the public's attitude towards Bae Yunj had changed drastically. In the past, when you said that you were envious of Qin Yojiao, I really couldn't get it. But now, I'm really envious of Bae Yunj. Not to mention her brother. Can a researcher grandmother that appears in high school textbooks be more amazing? The photos that were posted on the forum don't seem to show director Lin's face. It feels like Bae Yunj is blocking it on purpose. This is too heartwarming. Director Lin has helped the Qin family raise their daughter for 17 years. What's wrong with Bae Yunj bringing director Lin out for a meal? Do all of you think that benefits are more important than raising her? A certain fan should come out and jump in. Why are you acting like cowards? Qin Yojiao, come out and apologize to director Lin. Grin, at night. Qin Yojiao was still watching a drama. Not long after, Mrs. Qin pushed the door open and entered, her expression dark. Jiao Jiao, what did you post online? Qin Yojiao panicked immediately, thinking that Mrs. Qin also felt that she had gone overboard. Mom. I'm sorry. She bit her lip, her eyes red. I did something wrong. Can you forgive me? Hearing this, Mrs. Qin was angry and heartbroken. Jiao Jiao, are you stupid? Look at the headlines now. Headlines? Qin Yojiao was stunned. Weren't they all scolding Bae Yunj and that old Madam Lin? Qin Yojiao unconsciously opened the message and what entered her eyes was an unprecedented large number of private messages and comments. This made Qin Yojiao's heart tremble and she had a bad feeling. Then, Qin Yojiao clicked on it and after reading the first dozen or so comments, her face paled. How did this happen? The internet was filled with comments scolding and reprimanding her. And that ordinary-looking old lady was actually the former director of Yunqing University? And she had received so many honors. How was this possible? Qin Yojiao's expression was dazed as her face gradually turned green and red. Mom, Qin Yojiao couldn't help crying and started to feel helpless. I really didn't know. She's the dean of Yunqing University. Yunqing University had always been her dream school. But now, could she still get into Yunqing University? Mother Qin's expression didn't look too good either. She didn't expect that the seemingly submissive old lady was actually such a character. She took a deep breath and said, Jiao Jiao, when your leg is better, I'll take you to apologize to Director Lin. You must get her forgiveness. Mrs. Qin also regretted treating Director Lin like that back then. If she had known about Principal Lin's identity earlier, she would have definitely treated Principal Lin well. Perhaps, he could even get Director Lin to bring some resources to Jiao Jiao. But can Principal Lin forgive me? Qin Yojiao's eyes were filled with resentment and unwillingness. What right did Bae Yunj have to take all the good things? Even if Bae Yunj was swapped, how could she be adopted by Director Lin? Now that Bae Yunj was back, even second brother and third brother only treated Bae Yunj as their younger sister. At this moment, Mrs. Qin looked at Qin Yojiao, her heart feeling very complicated. She didn't expect Qin Yojiao to do such a thing. Seeing Mrs. Qin sigh, Qin Yojiao hurriedly grabbed Mrs. Qin's hand. She hated Bae Yunj to the core, but she cried and said with a trembling voice, Mom, I'm really afraid that she'll snatch you away. Chapter 184. Feeling helpless and heartbroken, Mrs. Qin could only caress Qin Yojiao's head. She could not bear to see Qin Yojiao being scolded like this. Don't do such a thing in the future. Mom will find someone to settle it for you. Backstage. Qin Yu read the public opinion and calmed down the shock in his heart before he started to play games. Then, suddenly, Qin Yu heard a phone notification. When he left the game and opened his personal message, he found that he had entered a mysterious and strange organization. What is it? Qin Yu opened the group chat in confusion. However, when he saw the group members' identities, the phone he was holding almost shook. The former and current principal of Yunqing University, the Dean of Science, and the current Dean of Biology. In addition, there were several famous professors. Even Qin Yu recognized them. One of the professors seemed to have won a world award some time ago. Dean of Biology of Yunqing University, do you have a personal account for your daughter? Qin Yu, former principal of Yunqing University, Qin Yu, little Qin, if you have the chance, let your daughter come to my house to play. Seeing these messages, Qin Yu felt like he had entered a world that did not fit in. These were all big shots in the scientific research field. Qin Yu was shocked for a long time as he watched this group of immortals continue chatting. Professor Yu Guang, haha, you're already so old and you're still thinking about Lanjun? Principal of Yunqing University, former principal of Yunqing University, why do you care? Former principal of Yunqing University, Dean of Biology of Yunqing University, find a chance to get Lanjuan's daughter to enroll in our school. Seeing this message, Qin Yu thought of his GU's results and his eyelids twitched. He did not notice that another big shot had entered the group. Institute, Zhongxinglin, why didn't Lanjun tell me? Where did she find this child? After Zhongxinglin found out that Bei Yunj was actually raised by his old acquaintance, he felt even more jealous. Why didn't he encounter such a good thing? Why couldn't he find an heir? Former principal of Yunqing University, old Zhong, don't wander around the edge of the law because you don't have a successor, okay? Institute, Zhongxinglin, the nature of the crime of picking up a child and kidnapping children was the same. Institute, Zhongxinglin, at this moment. Qin Yu had just regained his senses when he saw the new member's name card and almost stood up. Zhongxinglin? Anyone who surfed the internet would know of this old Master Zhong. This was Director Lin's friend too. Qin Yu suppressed the shock and complexity in his heart. In the end, he took a deep breath and replied. Qin Yu, doesn't have a personal account, principal of Yunqing University, it's fine. Your daughter is going to college soon, right? Have you decided which department you want to enter? Qin Yu, he probably wouldn't be able to get into any of the faculties. Just as Qin Yu was chatting awkwardly with the big shots, Bei Yunj was preparing the information she would bring to A.M. tomorrow. He didn't care about what was happening on the internet at all. However, at this time, Marcus called. What happened? Bei Yunj leaned back in her chair and wiped her wet hair lazily. I heard from Zhongxinglin that something happened to you online again. Don't tell me you called me specially because of this? Bei Yunj's eyes relaxed and she looked charming. Seeing that Bei Yunj ignored the comments online, Marcus heaved a sigh of relief. He said, no, I'm looking for you this time mainly because of the Qin family. Chapter 185. About the Qin family? Bei Yunj's eyes were calm and he could not tell from her tone. Your brother seems to have been looking for professionals in the computing field to work with. Besides us, he has also contacted other computing institutes and professional platforms. Hearing this, a trace of thought flashed past Bei Yunj's eyes. She did not know much about her brother, Qin Luyan. However, she remembered that the reason for the Qin family's bankruptcy seemed to be related to the company's data leak. For the company's data to be leaked, apart from being bribed, it could also be done maliciously by technicians. If it was the latter, then this was the same as the anti-fan who harmed old Master Qin back then. What conditions did he offer you? Bei Yunj asked. Marcus smiled. Everyone is well aware of what kind of conditions the rich will offer. This is nothing more than the hiring fee. However, Yunj, that's your brother. If it's for your sake, of course there's no problem. If it was before, Marcus would definitely have accepted it secretly and then told Bei Yunj to gain her favor. However, some time ago, he heard from that old fellow Zhongxinglin about the Qin family and Bei Yunj and no longer had a good impression of the Qin family. What was wrong with them? They did not want a daughter who could bring the Qin family to the top and insisted on treating that Qin Youjiao as a treasure. Did this family use their IQ to exchange for looks? Just as expected. After a while, Bei Yunj tapped the table carelessly with her fingertips. There's no need. In the original novel, the Qin family's bankruptcy was done by an heiress who was crazily pursuing the eldest young master of the Qin family, Qin Luyan. Later, this heiress even became Qin Youjiao's good friend. So, for the time being, she could not interfere in this matter. She had to lure the snake out of its hole first. Although she did not want to have anything to do with the Qin family, she would help the original protagonist achieve her long-cherished wish after inheriting the original protagonist's body, including solving the Qin family's crisis for the original protagonist. Yunj, do you really hate them a lot? Marcus hesitated for a moment before asking. Marcus, do you think I can't solve this matter? Bei Yunj was all smiles. Hearing this, Marcus was instantly enlightened. That's right. Did the Qin family need to go outside and beg for help? Didn't he have an immortal at home? Alright, then we won't get involved in this matter. After reporting this, Marcus hung up the phone. At this moment, Bei Yunj received a message from Qin Luyan almost at the same time. You're going back soon. Do you want any gifts? Bei Yunj glanced at it and frowned. She thought that Qin Luyan had sent it to the wrong person, so she turned around and went to the bathroom to dry her hair. But at the same time, Qin Luyan, who was far away in country R, waited for a few hours but did not receive a reply from his sister. The next day, after Bei Yunj went downstairs, she rubbed her furry head and asked in a nasal voice, Auntie Meow, where is my brother? Mr. Huo went out. I've prepared breakfast for you, miss, Auntie Meow said with a smile. Thank you, Aunt Meow. After Bei Yunj sat down, the worry in Aunt Meow's eyes gradually disappeared. Miss, I have something to tell you. Hearing this, Bei Yunj looked up instinctively. What is it? Mr. Huo went out with President Yu today. Auntie Meow frowned. President Yu doesn't have any good habits. He changes his girlfriend like clothes. If Mr. Huo went out with him, miss, you have to persuade sir to go home early. Chapter 186. Bei Yunj's hand that was scooping the porridge stopped. He did not quite understand Aunt Meow's anxiousness. Maybe she's going out to relax. Bei Yunj did not wait for Aunt Meow to continue persuading him and pulled her to sit down. Aunt Meow, try it too. It's pretty good. Aunt Meow, after breakfast. Bei Yunj glanced at the identity card that Zhong Xinglin had given him on the table. He casually stuffed it into his pocket and prepared to leave with the documents. A.M. Institute of Computational Technology. Brat, hurry up and wipe the glass. Why is it so dirty? It affects the aesthetics, do you know that? Zhong Xinglin suddenly slammed the young man's table, giving him a fright. What was wrong with this old man? Back then, when the higher-ups came over, he was so focused on research that he couldn't even be bothered to open the door for them. He left the leaders at the door for more than an hour. Now, he actually wanted him to wipe the glass. The young man thought for a moment and frowned again. No way, old master. There are only a few interns today. Do you have to mobilize so many people? He was a senior after all. Just because a few interns came over, he had to personally wipe the glass? What's wrong? There's a future director among them. Hearing this, Zhong Xinglin's face darkened and he slapped the back of the young man's head. The new member of the Marcus family will be coming today. You'd better be more respectful. Take good care of her and make her feel that the A.M. Institute is the happiest place in the world. The young man had goosebumps when he heard the happiest place in the world. He crossed his arms and looked wary. Old master, don't treat me as a tool just to seduce a big shot, okay? It's fine if it's a girl, but you want me to seduce a man with my beauty? This was a legitimate research institute. What kind of messy happy place was this? Zhong Xinglin endured for a long time and tried his best not to get angry. Then, he put on a fake smile. Do you think she'll like you? The young man? It's a little girl. Don't mess around. When Zhong Xinglin thought about how the person he had been looking for so long was finally under his nose, he became happy. Hurry up and wipe the windows. Also, ask those guys in the station to come over and identify the person in an hour. Little girl? How big is that? The young man's eyes lit up, and his blood boiled. Little girl? The little girl from their computing institute? Wasn't this too happy? You'll know when the time comes. Zhong Xinglin frowned and glanced at the restless young man with disdain. Old master, I actually think it's a good thing to sacrifice for the research institute. If it's possible, the young man changed the topic, but he did not expect to be interrupted by Zhong Xinglin with a smile. He closed his mouth with one hand. No, you can't. Even though the young man's mouth was pinched shut, he still struggled hard and said vaguely, I'm the favorite of the research institute. Other than me, you can seduce anyone, but if you dare to seduce her, those old fellows from Yunqing University will be the first to not let you off. Zhong Xinglin's words made the young man unable to react. He did not expect this new member to have such a strong background. At this moment, Qing Zihuai sat in the car and listened to Qin Youjiao speak. Zihuai, today is your first day in the institute. I'm really sad that I can't send you off. Chapter 187. Qing Zihuai smirked. He was in a good mood because he had finally gotten the only internship spot in Hengda. Recuperate well. I'll visit you when I'm free. At this point, Qing Zihuai could not help but think of Bei Yunj and he frowned. Ever since Bei Yunj returned to the Qin family, the Qin family had been in a mess. She was really here to collect debts. However, he did not expect Bei Yunj to be so lucky to be raised by Director Lin. Seeing that Qing Zihuai's attitude towards her had not changed, Qin Youjiao felt sweet and touched. Then, after being coaxed by Qing Zihuai, she hung up the call in relief. But almost at the same time, Qing Zihuai received another call. It was from Mrs. Cheng. Zihuai, why couldn't I get through to you just now? I was calling Jiao Jiao, Qing Zihuai said. Hearing this, Mrs. Cheng couldn't stop smiling. You said that you liked Jiao Jiao, but you refused to admit it. Back then, you quarreled with Jiao Jiao and insisted on getting engaged to Bei Yunj. Fortunately, the Qin family didn't take it seriously. Hearing Bei Yunj's name, the smile on Qing Zihuai's face disappeared. Mom. Okay, let's not talk about her. My son is so outstanding, of course he has to find a girl who is worthy of him. Mrs. Cheng had always looked down on Bei Yunj and her tone was contemptuous. Zihuai, don't worry. Your father is very happy that you entered AM this time. When you become an official employee, I'll go and talk to Mrs. Qin about your engagement with Jiao Jiao. Qing Zihuai's eyebrows relaxed. Thank you, Mom. Although Bei Yunj was indeed prettier than Jiao Jiao now, his wife was destined to be more than just looks. A person with a notorious record like Bei Yunj had no right to be his wife. After hanging up the call, Qing Zihuai got out of the car and arrived at the entrance of the AM Computing Institute. Unfortunately, the moment he looked up, he saw Bei Yunj walking towards him. Qing Zihuai furrowed his eyebrows and his gaze on Bei Yunj became mocking. He had gotten the only internship spot in Hengda. Wasn't it obvious why Bei Yunj was here? He thought that this woman really didn't care about him anymore. He didn't expect that she would return to her previous self so quickly. Qing Zihuai turned his head coldly. After the security guard checked his internship certificate and let him go, he said, "It's better to prohibit unauthorized people from entering your place, lest they cause trouble." With that, Qing Zihuai left. The security guard turned around and saw Bei Yunj. He immediately understood what Qing Zihuai meant. Soon. When Bei Yunj reached the entrance, the security guard stopped her. "Miss, the station doesn't allow unauthorized people to enter." Bei Yunji's beautiful eyes moved as she saw Qing Zihuai enter the A.M. Computing Institute. Of course, she knew why the security guard stopped her. She lowered her eyes and her red lips curled. Without saying anything, she took out her identity card and swiped it on the machine. Shortly after, before the security guards could stop them, they heard a long beeping sound. Then, the door opened automatically. The security guard's eyes widened when he saw this. Only the professors and directors of the institute had this identity card. What was wrong with this young lady? Can I go in now? Bei Yunji looked at him and smiled politely. When the security guard reacted, he hurriedly nodded. Miss, please. What kind of operation was this? This young lady was a new member of the station. She was too young. After Bei Yunji thanked him, she went straight into the police station. Chapter 188. Bypassing the courtyard, Bei Yunji walked along the long corridor and found the reception room. However, she did not expect to meet a young man cleaning glass on the way. Bei Yunji was speechless. Did the people in the computing institute love life so much? Hello, uncle. May I know how to get to the reception room? Hearing this address, the young man's body trembled and his face darkened. He turned around and wanted to curse. However, when he saw Bei Yunji's face clearly, his face was filled with shock. It's you? The young man's heart was in turmoil, but all his doubts were resolved. However, when he regained his senses, he became agitated again. Why is it you? It's actually you? Are you kidding me? So, the person who paralyzed the headlines and accurately sent Qin Lang's anti-fans to the police station was Bei Yunji herself? There were no other big shots at all. When the young man thought about how the security system in the hospital that he could not even make was made by Bei Yunji, his heart skipped a beat and he sprained his ankle. His entire body fell out of the window. At this moment, his eyes widened in fear. In the process of falling, he saw Bei Yunji quickly and considerately move the bucket under him away with the tip of her foot. It was not enough to make him drenched. However, the next moment, the young man still screamed and almost lost his life. Ouch, my waist. The young man's face was distorted from the pain. A few minutes later, the young man regained his senses and looked up to meet Bei Yunji's gaze. The two of them looked at each other and were silent for a long time. The young man said, "Thank you." Bei Yunji said, "You're welcome." One dared to say it, while the other dared to respond. In the long corridor, the young man held his waist and limped with Bei Yunji to look for Zhong Xinglin. "My name is Si Qing Yan. You can call me Brother Yan." Bei Yunji could tell that he had deliberately emphasized the last few words. "Okay, where is Elder Zhong?" "Old Master planned to let you use the Deputy Director's research lab. He probably went to see the layout." Bei Yunji did not expect Zhong Xinglin to care so much about her. She nodded. "Thank you." "You're welcome. Grandpa likes you a lot. You have to know that I only had the privilege of having my own research lab last year." Si Qingyan looked at her sourly. "If you sign with our agency, I don't know how much he will dote on you. Marcus is also very good to me." Bei Yunji chuckled. Although it hadn't been long since they signed the contract, Marcus did clean up a lot of her messes. "With your qualifications, you'll be worshipped like an ancestor no matter where you go, okay?" Si Qingyan was indignant. He was only 19 years old. In the future, he would definitely be a rare genius that every country would fight over. Bei Yunji smiled nonchalantly and followed Si Qingyan to another building. But right at this moment, Qing Zihuai, who was passing by, was stopped by a graduate student who had just entered the institute this year. The senior pointed at Si Qingyan excitedly. "Did you see that boy? He's not even 30 years old and is a guest professor of computer science at our Yinqing University." When Qing Zihuai heard this, he was about to size up Si Qingyan when he suddenly noticed the figure beside him. His expression changed. Wasn't that Bei Yunj? How did she get into the computing institute? Why are you in a daze? Did you hear what I said? The senior said unhappily. I'll go take a look. Ching Zihuai's face darkened and he wanted to chase after her. But then, he was stopped by the senior. Chapter 189. Are you crazy? Do you want to be chased out? The senior could not help but pat Ching Zihuai and laugh. Brother, those who are not important members of the institute are not qualified to enter that place. Ching Zihuai's mind was in a mess. He took a deep breath and pointed in the direction Bei Yunj had left. Then that girl, huh? What girl? The senior did not notice Bei Yunj and only cared about showing off his connections in front of the new Ching Zihuai. As for Ching Zihuai, he was sure that the person he saw just now was definitely Bei Yunj. He could not be wrong. However, Bei Yunj could not be an important member of the institute. Other than experienced computing talents, A.M.'s entry process would take several years to reach that position. How could Bei Yunj know anything about computers? It's fine. Ching Zihuai took a deep breath and did not continue to dwell on this matter. In the research room. Do you want to consider the new interns for our new project? They all feel good. The plump director smiled apologetically. In the past few years, there were almost no interns left in the institute. Although he was anxious, there was nothing he could do. After all, this was founded by Zhong Xinglin himself. No one could interfere. Consider my foot. Zhong Xinglin rolled his eyes. When he thought about how Marcus could poach someone from Yunqing across the ocean, he was so angry that his lungs hurt. The director was shocked. He did not know why Zhong Xinglin had been so hot-tempered recently. Then this research room. The director asked carefully. It's for someone else, Zhong Xinglin said matter-of-factly. The director continued to ask, not from our institute? I haven't poached her yet. Zhong Xinglin was also a little worried. That girl looked young, but he could not figure out what she was thinking. However, when the director heard this, his eyelids twitched. You didn't manage to poach her, so you let her come to our private research room? Wasn't this too much? Back then, Si Qingyan had hugged Zhong Xinglin's thigh and begged shamelessly for a year before he had a private research room. She's worth it. After Zhong Xinglin said this, he chuckled at the department head. If I don't have any ideas about her and continue to guide those interns, I don't know if I will still have any hope of seeing my juniors win the Busaka Prize before I die. Busaka Prize? The director's expression changed. How could a member of the Foreign Institute be so capable? She's from the Marcus Research Institute. She was the one who proposed the key project of our nation's computing institute this year. Hearing Zhong Xinglin's words, the director's scalp went numb. Since Superintendent Zhong was trying to poach people, wouldn't Marcus fly over from country R to fight with Superintendent Zhong? The new member they are talking about? Zhong Xinglin and Marcus, important members of the Computing Institute, knew each other. If it was an old member, Zhong Xinglin would have already taken action. Yes. Director, it wasn't easy for the other party to sign a big shot, and he was already trying to poach him. Wasn't he afraid of retribution? Then when will she? Before the director could finish his worrisome question, he heard a clear voice. Elder Zhong. In an instant. The director paused and slowly turned his head. His gaze landed on Bei Yunj. Then, his mind exploded. He instantly understood why Zhong Xinglin had spent so much money to poach him. Was this really the person the superintendent wanted to poach? Wasn't she too young? Chapter 190. At this age, she could already aim for the Busaka Prize. If it was him, he would also dig her up. Yunj, you're here. Look at this place. Are you satisfied? The moment Zhong Xinglin saw Bei Yunj, his eyes lit up. He was so amiable that Si Qingyan, who was beside him, felt extremely uncomfortable. Haha. Back then, when he had been recruited, this old man had not even treated him like this. Thank you, I like it very much. Bei Yunj scanned the spacious and bright research room. There were all kinds of basic facilities. There was even a projector in front to facilitate the live video conference. It's good that you like it. Then I'll bring you to meet people first. Zhong Xinglin's words made people think that Bei Yunj had already entered their calculations. Okay. Bei Yunj's eyes moved. Indeed. In the next period of time, she would have to come to the institute often. It was time to meet people. Although she also felt that Zhong Xinglin's intentions seemed to be different. In the conference room, Bei Yunj was arranged to sit on the left of Zhong Xinglin. The important members of A.M. had just entered when they noticed the unfamiliar girl and were shocked. What was going on? Didn't they say that they were here to see the big boss that the old master was especially concerned about? What did it mean that a young girl suddenly appeared in their institute? Suddenly. A terrifying conjecture emerged in their minds. No way. The big boss that the inspector liked was this young girl? Sit down, what are you looking at? The head of department raised his orchid fingers and served Bei Yunj a cup of tea. Miss Pei, try it. It's fresh, milk tea. He looked down and realized that Si Qingyan, that bastard, had gotten him a cup of milk tea. The head of department's eyes were burning as he stared straight at Si Qingyan. You're welcome. Si Qingyan raised his glass at Bei Yunj and drank the milk tea in one gulp. He crossed his arms and bit the pearl happily. Bei Yunj took the teacup as her overly beautiful eyes curved lazily. She didn't seem like a difficult person to interact with. Seeing this, the director and director both heaved a sigh of relief. Come, let me introduce you. This is Bei Yunj. She's the little girl I mentioned to everyone before. Zhong Xinglin turned around excitedly. Yunj, introduce yourself. When Bei Yunj heard this, she felt the gazes around her. She was silent for a moment and swallowed the pearl unhurriedly. Hello, everyone. I'm Bei Yunj, a member of Country R's Institute of Computational Technology. As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere was cold and awkward. Everyone, he hadn't been poached yet. At the same time, in the meeting room of another building, Qing Zihuai frowned. Didn't you say that we have a meeting at 11? The boy next to him shook his head and whispered into his ear mysteriously. I heard that the professor who is going to give us a speech is having an impromptu meeting. In the next building, the big shots were having a meeting. Do you understand? All of them are immortals. An impromptu meeting at this time? Qing Zihuai pursed his lips. However, as an intern, he had no right to speak. I think a big boss came. The institute values her very much, the boy said nonchalantly. Hearing this, Qing Zihuai's expression softened a little. However, he was also curious about who this person was. Soon, he quickly recalled how he had bumped into Bei Yunj on the way. However, when he regained his senses, he felt that his thoughts were ridiculous. How could Bei Yunj be qualified? Chapter 191. Those who could be valued by A.M. were definitely those who were competing for the top. As for Bei Yunj, she was a brainless person. Now, she was already pampered by the older brothers of the Qin family. In the future, it was hard to say if she would be a prodigal. How could she be involved with a big boss? Qing Zihuai snorted. He felt that he might not have rested enough and was starting to let his imagination run wild. Forget it, he would wait a little longer. It was not easy for him to enter the A.M. Computing Institute. In the conference hall of another building, more than 10 members watched expressionlessly as the superintendent and the dean worked together to poach people. Oh right, Yunj, what's the direction of your project? Zhong Xinglin asked. Public key cryptography. I think it'll take another 4 months to complete. The moment Bei Yunj finished speaking, Si Qingyan, who was originally relaxed, could not sit still anymore. Public key cryptography? Si Qingyan suddenly remembered. You're the one who did Marcus's key project this year? I'm the person in charge. The moment Bei Yunj finished speaking, the other members looked up abruptly. Their faces were filled with shock as they sucked in a breath of cold air. Very few people did research in this direction, so there was not much information in this area. Therefore, it was difficult to produce results. However, as Marcus's new member, Bei Yunj brought along a key project right from the start. Wasn't her intention obvious? She was F*King aiming for the Busaka prize. Marcus was not a fool. Without full confidence, he would not spend so much effort on Bei Yunj. It was obvious that Marcus had really scooped up a genius from their country this time, and right under their noses. Then Yunj, are you free to work with our institute too? The dean hurriedly put on a smile and started to poach her quietly. Bei Yunj was about to speak when her phone suddenly vibrated. She took out her phone and looked down. It was a call from Marcus. The dean was speechless. Did this old fellow have clairvoyance? Why did he call at this time? Yunj, take it. Zhong Xinglin also saw the note. Then, he smiled generously and leaned back in his chair confidently. In the eyes of the other members, he was probably a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. Anyway, he was determined to poach this person. My apologies. Bei Yunj nodded. At this time, Marcus rarely called. What's wrong, Marcus? Bei Yunj asked. Marcus's voice sounded from the other end of the phone. Your big brother offered us a very high price. Of course, we don't care about this little bit of money. However, you know that. We have some platforms here. There will definitely be people who will agree to your big brother's request. I'm afraid that your big brother won't just be deceived. People who were proficient in virtual networks were difficult to control. If Bei Yunj's eldest brother wasn't careful, he might lose his entire family fortune. She wondered what had happened to the Qin family that made Bei Yunj's elder brother so anxious. Marcus pondered. Okay, I got it. Then agree to his request first, Bei Yunj said calmly as she hid the emotions in her eyes. Agree? Don't you want to handle it yourself? Marcus was stunned. Hearing this, Bei Yunj chuckled. Am I not a member of the institute? These words made Zhong Xinglin, who was beside her, feel jealous. Chapter 192. When Marcus heard this, he understood. Suddenly, he said, Yunj, are you at the A.M. Institute? Bei Yunj glanced at the others. At the same time, the people from the A.M. Computing Institute noticed something strange. Marcus said, Yunj, turn on the speaker and chat with your old friend. Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow and turned on the speaker after asking Zhong Xinglin. Oh, Marcus, why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you're nervous. Zhong Xinglin smiled. Hearing the old master's annoying tone, all the members were speechless. But in the next second, they heard Marcus retort again. Why are you nervous? I'm embarrassed that my Yunj is working at the place you borrowed. Look, I even transferred some funds to you. Thank you for taking care of my Yunj. Marcus continued to be a bitch. I'm relieved to have you guys taking care of her. All the members were speechless. No wonder these two were old classmates. They were both annoying. Because she had an appointment with the intern she was teaching, Bei Yunj returned to the research lab early and had a video conference. As for Tich and Jasmine, although they could not keep up with Bei Yunj's progress, they were still hardworking and learned a lot. Except sometimes, Bei Yunj's silence made them tremble in fear. Until evening. Bei Yunj returned home, only to find the living room empty. Her eyebrows moved as she suddenly remembered what Aunt Miao had said to her. Brother and Yu Hanran had gone out. Bei Yunj glanced at her watch. It was almost 7:30 p.m. After thinking for a moment, she went upstairs to take a shower first. Then, she carried her laptop downstairs and sat on the soft blanket by the coffee table, waiting quietly. Miss Pei, you're back? Aunt Meow walked over from the long corridor with dinner. Bei Yunj nodded. Aunt Meow, did brother say when he will be back? Mr. Hua never tells me this. However, sometimes Mr. Hua and President Yu go out and don't come back. Bei Yunja's fingers paused for a moment before she tapped the table again. Okay, I'll ask her later. Hearing this, Auntie Meow grinned. All right. I'll bring the soup over first. Miss, please fill your stomach. Yes. After Aunt Meow left, Bei Yunj called Huashidu. But at this moment, Bei Yunj almost thought that she was here to check on her. Not long after. The call went through. Bei Yunj heard the man's deep and pleasant voice. It sounded more magnetic and clear through the phone. What's wrong, Yun? Have you eaten? Huashidu glanced sideways and reached out to turn off the music in the room. Yu Hanran, who was in the middle of singing with the young model sister. Aren't you going home for dinner? Bei Yunj asked. At this moment, Yu Hanran really wanted to know what Huashidu was saying to Bei Yunj, but he didn't dare to eavesdrop. He looked at Huashidu with a meaningful gaze. Wasn't the young lady calling at this time to check on him? However, when Huashidu heard this, he lowered his voice and laughed. This flirtatious and seductive look made Yu Hanran's female companion's eyes widen. He said, Do you not know how to do the questions? Bei Yunj said calmly, at this moment. Yu Hanran's eyelids twitched when he heard Huashidu's words. What kind of hobby did Master Du have? He liked to teach young girls to do their homework. Chapter 193. Huashidu asked, What subject? I don't know anything. Bei Yunja's words sounded very confident. Huashidu had always known that this young lady was very smart. If her results were not good, it was very likely that her foundation was weak. However, it was not easy for the young lady to study obediently and make up for her past homework. Then can I go back later? Huashidu's eyes darkened even more, but there was a casual joke in them. Yu Hanran, who had been eavesdropping, really felt that he almost did not recognize Huashidu in front of him. Was Master Du blooming after 10,000 years? He actually knew how to tease young ladies. However, when he thought of Bei Yunj in her school dress, Yu Hanran felt that Master Du's feelings were full of taboos. Was that Miss Pei an adult? At the same time, Bei Yunj thought of what Aunt Meow had said and her beautiful eyes moved. She thought that Huashidu was addicted to a woman. Therefore, his first impression of Yu Hanran was automatically reduced to not a good person. Brother, are you very happy outside? Hearing this, Huashidu laughed hoarsely. His upturned eyes were charming and ostentatious. What? Brother, you must come home at 10:30. Bei Yunj thought for a moment and rested her chin on her hand with a smile. She reminded him kindly, also, brother, don't pick the wild flowers by the roadside. With that said, she hung up. In the private room, Yu Hanran looked at Huashidu, who seemed to have something to say, and suddenly realized something. Their Master Du had been hung up on by a young lady. Master Du, look. Young ladies are like this. They're straightforward. How can there be a 26-year-old woman who's flirtatious and sensible? Yu Hanran hugged his female companions and leaned close to their necks to flirt. Although his female companions were giggling, they stared at Huashidu with a burning gaze. But in the next moment, Huashidu picked up the suit jacket at the side and walked out with his slender and abstinent legs. Master Du? Where are you going? Seeing this scene, Yu Hanran was shocked. Don't we still have a meal? You can handle it. With that, Huashidu pushed open the door, leaving behind a quickly disappearing figure. Master Du likes young girls? One of the female companions couldn't help but ask as she stuck close to Yu Hanran. I say, baby, don't even think about him. Yu Hanran touched her chin, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Smart girls shouldn't seek their own deaths. Hearing this, the female companion shuddered and hurriedly nodded. Seeing this, Yu Hanran also regained his leisure as if nothing had happened just now. In the living room, Bei Yunj glanced at the completed homework, and her eyelids twitched unconsciously. In the end, he could only pretend to flip open the practice questions at the back and pretend that he hadn't touched a single word. However, after that, Bei Yunj recalled that Huashidu should not be back so soon. She did not heave a sigh of relief. On the contrary, there was a faint feeling of displeasure. It was as if something she liked had been taken away by someone else. However, very quickly, Bei Yunj did not take these emotions that she had never felt before to heart. Instead, he continued to organize the information and prepare for the next project. Half an hour later. This was the third time Aunt Meow saw a certain Pei not far away. He quietly picked up his phone, looked at the time, and quietly put it down. Seeing this. Chapter 194. Aunt Meow was about to speak when Huashidu gestured for her not to speak. Bei Yunj, who had nothing left, picked up her phone again. She looked at the time on the screen and fell into deep thought. It was 8:00. This man did not return home even at 10:00. Suddenly, Bei Yunj began to understand how Huashidu felt when he caught her out of the bar. Bei Yunj closed the laptop immediately. However, she never thought that when she looked up, she would see the handsome and dignified man with one knee slightly bent. His slender and well-defined fingers inadvertently loosened the collar of his shirt. He looked lazy and seductive. At this moment, Bei Yunj's gaze followed the man's sexy Adam's apple and the mole. A mole in that position. He was too lustful. Not long after, she looked away slowly. Bei Yunj said, "Brother, you came back quite early." "Really? I thought Yunyun was scolding me in her heart." Huashidu's gentle gaze landed on her and he chuckled in a low and hoarse voice. His deep and magnetic voice tickled her eardrums. It was simply fatal. No. Bei Yunj raised her head and smiled. It's rare for brother's old house to catch fire. Old house? Huashidu asked. Bei Yunj thought for a moment. Suddenly, she leaned against the coffee table with both hands and cupped her cheeks. Her beautiful eyes curled up as she looked straight at the man's heart. It's the only place on brother's body that can hide people. Hearing this, the man's unreadable gaze landed on her. After a while, his eyes gradually darkened as if he was intoxicated, but he was staring straight at her. Huashidu's thin red lips curled up. He reached out lazily and gently pinched the back of her neck. His low voice was hopelessly sexy. It was ostentatious, frivolous, and playful. So, were you the one who started the fire? Little baddie? This ambiguous gentleness pierced right into her heart. It made people's hearts go numb. At this moment, Bei Yunj also froze. Why did this man make people feel that he was seductive and lustful? Uncontrollable. The image of this man in bed appeared in Bei Yunj's mind. It was simply fatal. Brother, have you eaten? Bei Yunj subconsciously changed the topic. No, I have to rush back to look at the flowers at home. The man smiled faintly. I take care of them every day. They are much more delicate than the wild flowers outside. Bei Yunj accidentally met with his unwavering eyes to look at her. S2's a little. She stood up and went to look for Aunt Meow. S2's. Seeing this, Huashidu chuckled nonchalantly. Then, he leaned back on the sofa and unbuttoned 2 buttons. Ants. Bei Yunj was still tutored for half an hour before she went upstairs to sleep. The next day. Hongda High School. Why did they all to? The moment Bei Yunj returned, she found that everyone was in a hurry. Today's the exam. Lu Unc said naturally. When did you find out? Bei Yunj did not know which examination hall she was in. Just now. Lu Unc patted her shoulder. It's okay, desk mate. I won't be surprised no matter how much you score. After all, she was someone who had joined the class by donating a building to Hengda. Bei Yunj asked. How much can you score? I can't pass the total score. Chapter 195. Hearing this, Lu Yuanxi felt Bei Yunj's gaze on him with faint disdain. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. They were about the same and she dared to despise him? Actually, I'm very good at foreign languages. Lu Yuanxi immediately clarified with a proud expression. It's easy for me to get more than 140 marks. After all, Lu Yuanxi grew up overseas and returned to the country in the second year of junior high. You're amazing. Bei Yunj replied casually as she searched for her stationery in the drawer. Lu Yuanxi's competitive spirit was immediately aroused. You don't believe me, right? This time, I'll let you realize what a true genius is. With that said, Lu Yuanxi left for the examination hall in high spirits. However, Bei Yunj's eyelids moved. She didn't understand why a boy of this age was so silly. The examination seats in Hengda High School were arranged according to results, from the first examination hall to the 10th examination hall. Jiao, you're already like this and you still insist on taking the exam? You're working too hard. The female classmate helped Qin Youjiao to the first examination hall and sat down in the second seat. Qin Youjiao smiled. I feel that my study condition hasn't been too good recently, so I wanted to come and test it. No matter how bad the Almighty's condition is, he's not something we mortals can compare to. The girl pretended to sigh before she said, however, I also want to know what results that Bei Yunj from class 7 can get. I heard that she cheated in the exam and was punished before she changed schools, right? TSK, they're both the eldest young miss of the Qin family. The gap between her and you is too big. Okay, let's not talk about her anymore. Qin Youjiao deliberately restrained her smile and said expressionlessly, I don't want Dad, Mom, and second brother to blame me for anything anymore. When this scene landed in the eyes of others, it made them remember those especially mean words to Qin Youjiao online. Qin Youjiao had only posted a post and didn't cause any substantial harm to Bei Yunj. Besides, she had apologized sincerely. Was there a need for those people to insist on it? At this thought, many people even felt that Bei Yunj was not a good person. At the very least, Qin Youjiao had already apologized and deserved to be scolded so badly. Why wasn't Bei Yunj coming out to help her? Jiao, you don't have to feel guilty. Even if Director Lin is not interested in money, what about Bei Yunj? The female classmate's expression was disdainful, but it was difficult to hide her jealousy in her tone. She was brought up by Director Lin, but doesn't she still want to return to the Qin family? I don't believe that she's doing this for the sake of kinship. In the end, she's still here to compete with you for the family property. Okay, you should go to the examination hall quickly too. Qin Youjiao sighed helplessly. Yes. I'll take my leave then. After the female classmate left, Qin Youjiao smirked at the thought of the parent-teacher conference next week. She really couldn't miss this monthly test. She wanted her second and third brothers to see clearly how unworthy Bei Yunj was to return to the Qin family. Bei Yunj was not familiar with Hengda. When she entered the examination hall, she realized that Lu Yuanxi was still sitting next to her. She glanced at Lu Yuanxi, who was sleeping on the table, and her eyelids moved. She walked over and knocked on his table. Lu Yuanxi, you're sitting in the wrong seat. However, Lu Yuanxi clearly did not expect that there would be a day when he would have to give up his position after sitting in the last place for more than a year. Are you getting up? There was a hint of impatience in Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes. Lu Yuanxi held back his laughter and slowly moved up a seat. Bei Yunj was speechless. Chapter 196. It was probably because the last 40 students were more fixed. As a result, there was suddenly an eye-catching girl who attracted a lot of attention. However, when the invigilator handed out the papers, the students' attention was diverted and their faces gradually became dejected. At this moment, Bei Yunj glanced at the paper and was about to answer the questions when she remembered how Washidu patiently taught her the questions yesterday. She stopped writing and thought for a moment. After about 10 minutes of writing, she leaned on the table to rest. After a whole day of exams, Lu Yuanxi was still full of confidence in himself. He turned and asked, "Deskmate, how did you do?" "Barely," Bei Yunj said slowly. Hearing this, Lu Yuanxi looked at her with pity. He couldn't bear to expose Bei Yunj's stubbornness. "Don't worry, I'll still choose you next time when we change seats according to the results." Bei Yunj, after school. Bei Yunj had just left Hengda High School when she was stopped by someone. Bei Yunj turned and saw Mr. Qin walking towards her, attracting a lot of attention. Although Mr. Qin was in his 40s or 50s, he didn't look old. He was wearing a neat suit and his elegant eyes were calm and wise. "What's the matter?" Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Her naturally smiling eyes didn't have any warmth. "How have you been recently?" Mr. Qin looked uneasy and his throat was dry. "Jiao Jiao doesn't live with your third brother anymore. Why don't you move back home?" During this period, Mr. Qin had thought a lot. He suddenly realized that he owed his daughter a lot. Ever since Bei Yunj returned home, he had only said a few words of concern, but he had never fulfilled his responsibility as a father. And Mrs. Qin was even worse. "Mr. Qin, I'm doing very well now and I don't plan to go back." Bei Yunj's eyes were similar to Mrs. Qin's, but they were brighter and more flamboyant. "If you can take care of your daughter and wife, I'll lead a better life." Hearing this, Mr. Qin's body froze. The corners of his lips moved subconsciously. "You're also my daughter." Before Mr. Qin could finish speaking, he saw Bei Yunj's calm and composed expression. In an instant, his face burned, and he lost his voice. He had no right to say that was his daughter. If you don't like Jiao Jiao, then I won't let you see her so much in the future. I know about what happened on Tiaba, and I understand that you have been wronged." Mr. Qin's lips moved, but his voice softened as he muttered, "But she's still my daughter. I hope you don't hate her." However, Bei Yunj sneered when she heard this. When Father Qin heard this, it was a little jarring. Then, she said casually, "Mr. Qin, no matter whose daughter Qin Yojiao is, she has to pay back the debt she owes." When Mr. Qin heard this, his heart tightened, and his expression became even more miserable. However, when Bei Yunj saw this scene, she was still indifferent. "Don't look for me in the future. I'm very busy." Bei Yunj's tone was cold. With that said, she was ready to leave. Suddenly, tomorrow night is old Madame Lu's birthday. Are you still going?" Mr. Qin's eyes were filled with anticipation. Bei Yunj looked up, her face expressionless. "It's the last time. From now on, anything in the Qin family has nothing to do with me." With that said, Chapter 197. Mr. Qin watched as Bei Yunj left. He opened his mouth, but he could not make a sound. His hands clenched into fists helplessly. At this moment, Bei Yunj walked through the crowd. She had only taken a few steps when she suddenly stopped. The man standing under the green shadow casually bit on a cigarette. It made people feel that he was in a romantic mood. But in the next moment, the man's gaze fell on her unwaveringly. His knuckled hand clamped down on the cigarette, and the corners of his lips curled up. A pair of cold and indifferent eyes were staring straight at her. It was a coincidence. Bei Yunj walked towards him and her gaze unconsciously landed on the mole on his Adam's apple. She had an inexplicable urge to touch it. After this thought flashed through her mind, Bei Yunj realized that her hand was already in midair. Very quickly, Bei Yunj reacted and immediately retracted her hand. But who would have thought, at this moment, the man looked down at her casually. His eyes were so dark that they could not be seen clearly. Suddenly, Bei Yunj heard a hoarse and magnetic laughter above her head. It sounded as if it was about to hit the girl's heart ruthlessly. She could not avoid it. Her heart skipped a beat and she instinctively looked up. Brother, at the same time, Hwashidu suddenly reached out and gently grabbed her wrist. Then, he nonchalantly threw away the cigarette between his fingers on his other hand. Before Bae Yunj could react, he pulled her wrist gently. With a quick step, she bumped into the embrace of the cold fragrance floating in the air. Have I not hugged you enough in the past? Hwashidu rubbed the back of her head gently with his palm. His lazy and frivolous voice and ambiguous gentleness tickled her ears. It was only when she was brought into the car that Bae Yunj realized what was going on. When she reached out to him just now, Hwashidu must have mistakenly thought that she wanted to hug him but did not dare to. Soon. Bae Yunj asked belatedly, Brother, did you see it just now? Yes. Hwashidu did not hide it and answered indifferently. Just now, he had seen Bae Yunj and Mr. Chin talking not far away. It was also a rare sight for him to see the little girl's cold expression. Hwashidu's answer also confirmed Bae Yunj's guess. This man probably thought that she was in a bad mood after quarreling with Mr. Chin. So when she saw him, she wanted to hug him. This misunderstanding was really interesting. What happened? Hwashidu looked ahead and asked. No. Bae Yunj glanced at him quickly. Her eyes were curved, and she turned her head to look at the scenery outside the window. Hwashidu suddenly said, Yun. Bae Yunj turned to look at him. Be more reserved. Don't secretly smile after taking advantage of your brother. Hwashidu's posture was lazy and light. It was indescribably seductive. His deep and pleasant voice was mixed with the joy of joking. It was simply irredeemably sexy. Bae Yunj simply changed the topic. He came to look for me just now because he wants me to go to the Liu family's birthday banquet tomorrow night. You don't want to go? Go. It's the last time I'll listen to him. Bae Yunj glanced at him again. Brother, why are you free to come and pick me up today? I heard that today is Hengda's February exam. Bae Yunj, why was he more informed than her? Why didn't Yunyan tell me about this? Hwashidu asked unhurriedly. Chapter 198. Bae Yunj could not answer for a moment. Hwashidu asked again, You don't want to tell me? No. Bae Yunj pulled up her hood and covered most of her face, revealing only her sharp chin. She slowly turned her head away. I only found out today. Hearing this, Hwashidu glanced at Bae Yunj. The tip of his throat rolled and he let out a soft laugh. He did not ask further. This child was really difficult to control. The next evening, Bae Yunj went straight to the Liu family. At the Hua Corporation. In the office. Master Du, Miss Pei is going to the Liu family today. Aren't you going to take a look? Tseng Su probed carefully. I've prepared a gift. Just send it over. Hearing the man's words, Guasu's eyelids twitched. Then why did you keep texting Miss Pei today? You just want Miss Pei to ask you to accompany her. Guasu cursed silently, but he did not dare to show it on his face. Suddenly, a glint flashed across his eyes and he quickly said, But the Yu family will go. President Yu's appearance will definitely cause another commotion. Commotion? Hwashidu raised his pale eyes and looked at him. His slender fingers tapped on the table casually. It's just that, many socialites will think of ways to get close to President Yu. In the past, Tseng Su had always attended those banquets on Hwashidu's behalf. He naturally knew how popular Yu Hanran was to those socialites and young ladies. As long as there was competition, these young ladies who claimed to be of noble status would inevitably be jealous. And people like Bae Yunj, who did not know the socialites in the circle, were the easiest to be ostracized. After a while, Tseng Su saw that Hwashidu did not speak and said, President Yu knows Miss Pei and will definitely go up to greet her. When that time comes, Miss Pei would become a thorn in his side. However, before he could finish speaking, Huashidu interrupted him. Tell Yu Hanran to know his limits. Huashidu looked up. His tone was light and lazy, but for some reason, it was suffocating. At this moment, even Sing Su did not react. He had not finished speaking. Why was Master Du so unhappy? Suddenly, he regained his senses and looked at Huashidu with a complicated gaze. President, you couldn't even greet Miss Pei? Wasn't Master Du being too strict with him? In the Liu family, the scenery of the garden was pleasing. The lamplight and candlelight reflected each other's brilliance. The fragrance of clothes and the shadows of hair shadowed the surroundings as they chatted and laughed. Jiao Jiao, you're finally here. Ling Jiwei was wearing a dress that had been specially prepared for her. She looked delicate and charming. My legs, to thank you so much to come all the way here. Qin Youjiao sat in the wheelchair and looked at Qing Zihuai, who was pushing the wheelchair, with a sweet and shy expression, SSS twos twos, to my's to s to. Of course, it's of her T.S. Qin Youjiao had just finished speaking when suddenly, someone put a suit jacket over her shoulders. She turned around and saw Qing Zihuai smiling as he said, the wind is so strong. Don't catch a cold. Aren't you being too biased, Senior Cheng? I'm wearing less than Jiao Jiao. Why aren't you draping it over me? Ling Jiwei teased. Jiao Jiao is weak. Although Qing Zihuai said this, his gaze was gentle as he looked at Qin Youjiao. Chapter 199. Tisk, I'm just strong. With that said, Ling Jiwei said enviously, in the past, I always saw Jiao Jiao and Senior Qing quarreling. Now that I can see the two of you being so sweet, I'm very happy too. At this point, Ling Jiwei suddenly thought of the person in her class. She changed the topic and laughed coldly. Lest some scheming people think of ways to be the third party. Hearing this, Qing Zihuai's eyes darkened and he did not clarify. Actually, he had deliberately approached Bei Yunj back then to make Qin Youjiao jealous. Although he knew that Bei Yunj had always had a crush on him. Qin Youjiao sized up the people around her casually. Okay, stop talking. Bei Yunj will be here today too. Her. Ling Jiwei's eyes widened and she could not help but laugh coldly. What right does she have to come? Is this a place she can come to? Bei Yunj was completely incompatible with their circle. Which socialite would be willing to interact with someone like Bei Yunj? My father went to look for Bei Yunj. Qin Youjiao's eyelashes fluttered. She was wearing a long white dress and looked pitiful. Uncle Qin is too kind to let Bei Yunj do this. With that said, Ling Jiwei suddenly thought of something and looked at Qin Youjiao excitedly. Oh right, Jiao Jiao, did you know? The Yu family will be here today. Yu Hanran? Qin Youjiao's eyes flashed as she remembered that Yu Hanran and Huashidu had gone to the Qin family last time for Bei Yunj. She clenched her fists unconsciously. That's right. However, there's also the eldest young miss of the Yu family. I heard that President Yu has a very good relationship with Miss Yu. Ling Jiwei was still eager to try. Her excitement could be heard in her voice. That's the Yu family. A true top aristocratic family. How great would it be if I could be friends with Miss Yu? Miss Yu rarely appears at these gatherings. She might not like to make friends. Although Qin Youjiao said this, her thoughts were the same as Ling Jiwei's. If she could make friends with Miss Yu, her status in the circle would also rise. It would also solidify her identity as the eldest daughter of the Qin family. At this thought, Qin Youjiao also comforted herself. Yu Hanran was obviously not familiar with Bei Yunj, and that Mr. Hua, even if he really wanted to protect Bei Yunj, it was just out of interest. Bei Yunj couldn't get close to the Hua family at all. At this thought, Qin Youjiao heaved a sigh of relief secretly and said gently to Ling Jiwei with a smile, however, if you want to get to know Miss Yu, I can help you. Really? Jiao Jiao, I told you, you're my best friend. Ling Jiwei was overjoyed. Meanwhile, on the way, Yu Hanran walked in front expressionlessly. His handsome face was dark. You Manran, you're getting bolder and bolder, aren't you? You've been in the entertainment industry for a few years and you're still a D-lister. How dare you challenge me? Unable to take it anymore, he turned around and looked at Yu Manran, who was wearing earphones. You're the D-lister. Yu Manran exploded. Yu Hanran smirked and said mockingly, among all the girlfriends I've had, there's no one worse than you. Yu Manran couldn't take it anymore and dug out the hot sales of his new album. Did you see that? I'm already starting to become popular. I'm #1 on the half-year chart. Chapter 200. Yu Manran took a deep breath and looked at him with a fake smile. I haven't asked for money from my family for several years. Oh, you've been in the dark for so long. Yu Hanran raised his eyebrows. Fortunately, you were strong-willed back then and didn't choose to expose your identity. Otherwise, our Yu family wouldn't be able to afford to lose this face. I can't be bothered with you. I'll stay for 20 minutes today. Yu Manran was so angry that he didn't want to talk to him. He rolled his eyes and said arrogantly. She didn't want to make friends with those arrogant people in the industry. Each of them was more annoying than the other. If I find out that you're gone when we leave the banquet today, don't blame me for buying over that lousy company of yours. Yu Hanran also laughed angrily, not wanting to continue talking to this annoying sister. He glanced at Yu Manran with disdain and suddenly thought of the little girl beside Hwashidu. The way she called him older brother softened his heart. It was no wonder that Master Du liked little vixens so much. Who wouldn't like them? Yu Hanran, how dare you? It's good to change it to a square park, Yu Hanran said faintly. Yu Manran was speechless. Brother, I was wrong. Seeing Yu Manran admit defeat, Yu Hanran snorted and deliberately messed up her hair before he stopped and left. This B** starred. Yu Manran gritted his teeth and entered the banquet in his high heels as if he was here to seek revenge. On the marble ground of the garden, there was a grand piano. Qin Yojiao was carried to the piano cushion by Qing Zihuai in public, causing many young ladies who were familiar with Qin Yojiao to be envious. I'll listen to you play from the side. Qing Zihuai smiled and said gently. Qin Yojiao nodded with a red face. Okay. It was only after Qing Zihuai left that Ling Jiwei bent down and whispered into Qin Yojiao's ear, Miss Yu is already here. I heard that she's very interested in piano. Jiao Jiao, we'll have to rely on you. Hearing this, a smile appeared on Qin Yojiao's face. She only played the piano keys casually and nodded. Don't worry. She would seize this opportunity to make the young lady of the Yu family interested in her. Soon. The sound of the piano gradually rang out. It was an unfamiliar tune that he had never heard before, and it was especially eye-catching. Everyone turned to look at the girl in a white dress who was playing the piano. Her appearance was elegant and refined, leaving a deep impression in one's mind. In the next moment, even Yu Manran, who had just arrived at the banquet, was stunned when he heard the skillful and pleasant sound of the piano. She was attracted to the sound of the piano and saw the person playing it clearly. Qin Yojiao was indeed worthy of the title of a young pianist and was indeed a talented young girl. However, at this moment, the first person that Yu Manran thought of was Bai Yunj. At the same age, Bai Yunj's creative ability was already astounding. There were even well-known musicians in the country who took the initiative to contact the composer after hearing her new song. All of this proved that Bai Yunj's terrifying strength had yet to be fully displayed. This person was still a mystery. Yu Manran stared at Qin Yojiao, his thoughts already starting to blank out. She was faintly looking forward to the scene of that person personally playing the piano. How shocking would that be? Before the piano music ended, the person who had just entered had already quietly sat on the swing in the corner. She leaned against it lazily, her expression languid and arrogant. Her black hair, fair skin, and red dress made her look extremely beautiful. Chapter 201. Bei Yunj glanced at Qin Yojiao, who could be vaguely seen in the distance. She then leaned one hand on the handle of the swing and supported her head. She looked free and unrestrained. Even after the piano piece ended, many people's eyes were still unable to move away from Qin Yojiao. Their expressions were either stunned or envious. "Miss you?" Ling Jiwei shouted. When she saw Yu Manran's face clearly, she was stunned. The young lady of the Yu family was that Yu Manran from the entertainment industry? Why didn't anyone expose this matter? Who are you? Yu Manran looked at the uninvited person and frowned slightly with displeasure and coldness. Ling Jiwei was slightly uneasy and nervous. I heard from a friend that Miss Yu likes music. I didn't expect Miss Yu to be an artiste. Hearing this familiar conversation, Yu Manran was not interested. She crossed her arms and looked at Qin Yojiao not far away. That young lady is not bad. Hearing Yu Manran praise Qin Yojiao like this, Ling Jiwei's eyes flashed and she was full of smiles. Yes, her name is Qin Yojiao and she's the eldest young lady of the Qin family. She even had a piano concert tour before and wrote all the pieces herself. With that said, Qin Yojiao had already been pushed over in a wheelchair by Cheng Zihuai. Wei Wei. Qin Yojiao called out to Ling Jiwei before her eyes landed on Yu Manran. Is it Miss Yu? You played well. Yu Manran looked at her. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao tried her best to suppress the smile on her lips and said with a smile, "This is my new piece for this year's piano tour. If Miss Yu is free, you can come and listen to it." Because of Qin Yojiao's piano skills, Yu Manran was indeed not as uninterested as when he first came to the banquet. Qin Yojiao had also pulled herself into a relationship with Yu Manran intentionally or unintentionally. At this moment, Ling Jiwei suddenly spoke, her tone gloating. "Jiao Jiao, that person isn't here yet. Could it be that she's afraid?" Qin Yojiao laughed. "Why are you mentioning her all of a sudden?" Then, Qin Yojiao said casually, "She hasn't been back to the Qin family for long, so it's normal that she doesn't know anything." Yu Manran had been in the entertainment industry for many years. How could he not hear the superiority in Qin Yojiao's words? She smirked and her interest in Qin Yojiao immediately disappeared. "Even if she's talented, she can't compare to you, Jiao Jiao." Ling Jiwei deliberately smiled and said, "Other than Miss Yu, no one else can compare to an outstanding person like Jiao Jiao." Are you talking about the new miss from Jiao Jiao's family? A few socialites who knew Qin Yojiao came over and giggled. One of them deliberately asked, "Jiao Jiao, how long has it been since she returned to the Qin family? Why didn't you change your surname back?" Hearing this, Ling Jiwei couldn't help but sneer. Jiao Jiao is so young, but she won the first prize in the piano competition. She's the youngest winner in history. In terms of talent, who could compare to Jiao Jiao? If someone like her has the same surname as Jiao Jiao, it would be too much of a stretch. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao furrowed her eyebrows as well. She did not want to keep mentioning Bei Yunj in such an occasion. Not everyone could be compared to her. But then, before Qin Yojiao could interrupt, Yu Manran suddenly lifted his skirt and walked towards the grand piano. This scene confused the socialites who had just treated Bei Yunj as a joke. "Miss Yu, what are you doing?" Ling Jiwei was confused. As for Qin Yojiao, her smile froze when Yu Manran sat in front of the piano. Chapter 202. Yu Manran played a few keys simply. Not long after, a piano sound that was different from before attracted everyone's attention. On the other hand, Bei Yunj, who was leaning against the swing, looked up and said, "Follow me." At this moment, everyone present was fascinated, but Qin Yojiao's expression did not look too good. From the beginning of this piano piece, it had already tickled people's hearts. The main melody of the piano was clearly vicissitudes of life and had a grand style, but the secondary melody was healing and joyful and romantic. The seemingly contradictory rhythm was compatible, but it sublimated the mood of the piano piece. This kind of score often required very difficult skills to play. And the composer was even more open-minded. His control of the tune and rhythm was like a stroke of genius. After the performance, Qin Yojiao felt like she had been slapped in public. Her expression was ugly, but it was full of smiles. Miss, you played very well. Which famous composer did this score come from? Qin Yojiao could tell that Yu Manran did not know enough about music scores. But this score itself was very difficult to play. It was probably a famous pianist the Yu family had invited. Otherwise, they would not have done this. Not only Qin Yojiao, even the others wanted to know who the person who could make such a score was. Originally, when they heard Qin Yojiao's piano piece, they thought that it was already rare. However, they did not expect that the moment Yu Manran played the score, the former became a bland soup. A famous composer? Yu Manran chuckled and glanced at the socialites who had stepped on the high and flattered the low just now. This was written by a girl about your age. I only played a simplified version. With that said, everyone present was shocked. About the same age as Miss Qin? Is she a god? I've learned piano for so many years and only now do I realize that I'm here to make up the numbers. I thought that Qin Yojiao was already very good at this age. Why is there a big boss now? I don't know music, but it's really nice. The discussions around them started to question Qin Yojiao's talent, making Qin Yojiao feel like she had fallen into a quagmire for the first time. She took a deep breath and tried to sound as calm as possible. May I know who she is? There's no need for that. After Yu Manran finished speaking, he smiled mysteriously. Miss Qin, you are also very powerful, but you have to admit that there is always someone better than you. She could only play the simplified version of the music score in an orderly manner. But if that person were to personally play the original version, it would definitely be a shocking scene. All of a sudden, Yu Manran really wanted to encourage Bei Yunj to go to his concert and play the original song. That scene would definitely explode. However, when Qin Yojiao heard this, she could not smile at all. How could she not tell that Yu Manran had a bad impression of her now? Miss Yu, I understand if you don't like me. Qin Yojiao clenched her fists and said with a generous smile, but I'm afraid it's a little hard to believe that such a song was written by someone my age. The meaning of these words was obvious. She was questioning the truth of Yu Manran's words. Miss Qin, do you think that if you can't write it, others can't write it either? Chapter 203. With that said, the entire venue fell silent. Although there were many socialites who played the piano well, no one dared to say that they could play 1/3 of the piano piece just now. This score was too difficult to control. At this moment, Qin Yojiao smiled as well. Miss Yu, I didn't say this on purpose. But there are some things that sound ridiculous. At this moment, many people agreed with Qin Yojiao's words. Such a piece did not seem like it could be written by a person in her teens or 20s. If that was the case, then she was too talented. Yu Manran looked at this hypocritical face and gritted his teeth in anger when he heard this. Then she laughed coldly and looked around, wanting to find Yu Hanran. No one knew that Yu Hanran had a strong memory for music. Usually, after listening to a piece once, he could play it perfectly. But at this critical moment, Yu Hanran actually King disappeared for her? Yu Manran's expression darkened. At this moment, Yu Hanran had unknowingly walked to Bei Yunja's side. He was interested. Miss Pei, can't you tell that that silly girl is speaking up for you? He was not standing far away just now and had heard the discussion of the group of girls. Yu Manran was still the same as before. He even defended people he didn't know. President Yu, you don't even care about your sister? Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows, a faint smile in her eyes. Hearing this, Yu Hanran did not expect this little girl to guess his relationship with Yu Manran. That score is quite difficult. Yu Hanran's tone was teasing. Why don't you call and ask Master Du to support you? He's very good at the piano and violin. He also wanted to see how important this little girl was to Master Du, really. I'll listen to it in the future. Bei Yunja's eyes were presumptuous and flamboyant, but she was bright and charming, making people dazed. Hearing this, Yu Hanran only understood after a while. This little girl only liked to eat alone and did not want others to hear Huashidu play the piano. Yu Hanran was speechless. This little girl's possessiveness was quite scary. However, before Yu Manran could continue speaking, Bei Yunj slowly stood up when he caught a glimpse of Yu Manran's face turning red. She casually straightened her skirt and walked into the crowd. However, Bei Yunja's reaction also surprised Yu Hanran. What was Bei Yunj doing? Could it be that she could play the piano? After obtaining this understanding, Yu Hanran still didn't dare to be sure. It was not that he had not checked Bei Yunj. In Hengda High School, Bei Yunj was the epitome of an ignorant and incompetent troublemaker. How was this the obedient girl who would be influenced by art after class? Miss Yu, do you know anyone at the banquet? Qin Yi asked with a coy smile. Qing Zihuai, who was standing behind Qin Youjiao, also looked at Yu Manran coldly, thinking that he was deliberately finding trouble with Qin Youjiao. Even if Yu Manran's gaze was cold. Just as he was about to say something, he suddenly heard a familiar voice. Yu Manran. The moment he finished speaking, Yu Manran's eyes lit up when he saw Bei Yunj. She never thought that she would meet Bei Yunj here. However, after that, she felt inexplicably guilty. Could it be that Gu had seen her playing her song and fighting with someone? Gu, Yu Manran's tone was weak. Chapter 204. At the same time. Everyone subconsciously followed Yu Manran's line of sight. In an instant, a trace of amazement flashed across their eyes. The girl who walked over had black hair and fair skin. She was wearing a long red dress with a V-neck and thin straps. Her waist was tied up, outlining an extremely high-class sexiness. She had a pair of soul-stirring eyes. The smile in her eyes did not reach her eyes, but she was languid and charming. Which family's young lady's appearance was real? At this moment, a trace of strong jealousy flashed past Qin Youjiao's eyes and her eyes darkened. These two people actually knew each other. Soon. Qin Youjiao said with a smile, "Is she the only friend Miss Yu knows on the show?" Yu Manran could not help but look at Qin Youjiao, his eyes dark. Where did this elder young miss get her sense of superiority from? Didn't she know that she had already shown off in front of the big boss? Yes, she's the only friend I know on the show. Yu Manran chuckled and said indifferently. Hearing this, Qin Youjiao gritted her teeth and clenched her fists unconsciously. She had just said so much to Yu Manran, planning to make Yu Manran one of her own. But now, she found out that Yu Manran was actually willing to be friends with someone like Bei Yunj. This woman was really crazy. Not only Qin Youjiao, but Ling Jiwei and the rest beside her also had ugly expressions. Ling Jiwei gave a fake smile. "Miss Yu, were you deceived by Bei Yunj? What's so good about her that you want to be friends with such a person?" Hearing this, Yu Manran's eyes turned cold. This gaze made Ling Jiwei inexplicably afraid and she avoided his gaze. A person who's worth it is worth it everywhere. Yu Manran raised an eyebrow and chuckled, but the coldness in his eyes did not disappear. Hearing this, Ling Jiwei's expression was ugly, but she did not dare to offend the Yu family. Suddenly, Qin Youjiao spoke. "Since that's the case, it looks like you can definitely help Miss Yu prove what she said just now, right?" Bei Yunja's lips curved upwards as her gaze landed on Qin Youjiao. "Qin Youjiao, leave some leeway for yourself." Hearing this, Qin Youjiao thought that Bei Yunj was threatening her and could not help laughing. "Yunj, if you don't know how, then forget it. I don't think Miss Yu will blame you." Qin Youjiao's intention to drive a wedge between Bei Yunj and Yu Manran was obvious. Bei Yunj turned her head and looked at the pitiful Yu Manran. The corners of her eyes twitched slightly. Suddenly, Bei Yunj. Qing Zihuai had an impatient expression as he warned coldly, don't embarrass the Qin clan. Qing Zihuai, there are so many people here. Can't you say something human? Bei Yunj glanced at him lazily and said unhurriedly. You. Qing Zihuai's handsome face darkened. Did this woman really think that it was so easy to enter the Hua family? She was actually so arrogant. Bei Yunj ignored him and walked towards the grand piano. She lifted the hem of her silk dress slowly and sat by the piano. 1/3, right? Bei Yunja's red lips curved and her slender legs were crossed under her dress. They were so fair that they were dazzling. Just sitting in front of the piano was a type of charm. Yes. If I can prove it for her, will you apologize to her too? Bei Yunj asked. Of course, but if you can't prove it for her, then apologize to me on behalf of Miss Yu. Qin Yojiao did not hesitate. Even she could not do this condition. Sure. Bei Yunj snorted and her slender fingers slid across the black and white keys. Chapter 205. Does she know what kind of honor Jiao Jiao has received since she was young? Ling Jiwei could not help laughing mockingly. Hearing this, Yu Manran snorted coldly and stared fixedly at Bei Yunj. She had never heard Bei Yunj play the piano, but how could someone who could write such a score play badly? At this thought, Yu Manran's eyes became more and more expectant. After that, under everyone's watchful gazes, Bei Yunj's slender fingers danced. However, from the moment the first key fell, Qin Yojiao's lips twitched and the sarcasm in her eyes was not hidden. She thought that this Bei Yunj had some confidence. However, she did not expect her to play the first key wrong. She had really overestimated her. Miss Yu, the song Yunj played seems to be very different from the one you played just now. Qin Yojiao was very confident in her professional field. Yu Manran furrowed his eyebrows, not quite understanding what was going on with Bei Yunj's song. However, she did not think that Bei Yunj had played it wrong. Did she play it wrong? The style is too different. The people around started to discuss. Yeah, I can't tell what's the same between these two songs. Didn't we agree to repeat the score just now? It's nice, but this is completely different from Miss Yu's song just now. At this moment, Ling Jiwei, who was beside her, also had a mocking expression. She could not help laughing and saying, I really thought that she could play a few notes. I didn't expect her to dare to show off when she doesn't know anything. It sounds nice too. The socialite beside Ling Jiwei said softly. So what if it's nice? Ling Jiwei immediately turned to look at her and laughed coldly. She didn't write this song. I wonder how long she practiced to reach this level. Hearing this, the socialite beside her was speechless. But she had a feeling that this song was a little familiar, at this moment. Yu Hanran stood not far away as he watched Bei Yunj play the piano. A hint of surprise and amazement flashed across his eyes. He thought that Bei Yunj really didn't know anything. He had hidden it too well. This time, Master Du has really picked up a treasure. Yu Hanran chuckled. Soon. The sound of the guqin gradually stopped. Bei Yunj glanced at Qin Yojiao, his lazy voice slightly playful. Miss Qin, isn't it time for you to fulfill your promise? Hearing this, Qin Yojiao found it ridiculous. Bei Yunj had the courage to ask her to apologize even though she didn't make a single sound right. Bei Yunj, we're not deaf. Do you think you've hit the right note? Qin Yojiao's eyes were filled with sarcasm. Even Qing Zihuai, who was behind her, looked at Bei Yunj with disdain. Yes. Bei Yunj, don't go back on your word. You should be the one apologizing to Jiao Jiao. Ling Jiwei immediately chimed in. She felt as if she had vented her anger. Suddenly, a voice sounded not far away. She didn't play it wrong. Hearing this, everyone looked at Yu Hanran instinctively, not understanding why he would say this. She used the secondary melody of the music score to adapt it. The first and last parts were played in reverse. The moment Yu Hanran said this, the smile on Qin Yojiao's face froze. The rest of the people were even more stunned. Played in reverse? So, not only did this girl play it correctly, she even changed the tune on the spot? Impossible. Ling Jiwei's voice was sharp and ear-piercing. Chapter 206. How was this possible? Even Jiao Jiao said that this score would be very difficult to learn. How could Bei Yunj be able to play it after listening to it once? Not only Ling Jiwei, even Qin Yojiao's expression was exceptionally ugly. She stared at Bei Yunj with dark eyes. Impossible. Back then, when Bei Yunj had just returned to the Qin family, she had deliberately tested Bei Yunj's ability. Not to mention the piano, she was clearly someone who couldn't even understand music. Miss Pei played the entire song. She repeated exactly 1/3 of Manman's song. Yu Hanran smirked lightly, but he was even more confused about Bei Yunj. He could barely remember the score just now, but if he wanted to play it as easily as Bei Yunj, he would need at least a week to practice. In the end, this person even changed it on the spot. At this moment, Yu Manran immediately understood. Go, or changed it on the spot. Did she think that it was unfair to repeat the score she wrote? At this thought, Yu Manran looked at Bei Yunj with a complicated gaze. However, with Gu, or changing it like this, it seemed to be a slap to Qin Yojiao and the rest's faces, although, looking at their expressions now, it was really satisfying. Impossible. You must have learned this score secretly long ago. You did it on purpose. Ling Jiwei lost her composure and said sharply, before she pointed at Bei Yunj and Yu Manran. You're friends. You must know Yu Manran's score too. Yu Manran was speechless. How could he not know? She was the one who King wrote this score. Bei Yunj laughed carelessly. There was no guilt in her eyes, but they were bright and charming. Hearing this, a glint flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes. However, in the next moment, before Qin Yojiao and the rest could heave a sigh of relief and were about to ridicule Bei Yunj, Bei Yunj suddenly played the piano again. Within half a minute, Qin Yojiao's face gradually turned pale and she felt cold all over. *CK. Isn't this Qin Yojiao's song just now? You can repeat this after just one play. Amazing. Is this the new young lady of the Qin family? How ruthless. Of course. Do you know who raised her? Principal Lin Lanjun. Wait, who are you talking about? Lin Lanjun? That Dean Lin of Yunqing University. Damn, didn't we agree to go to the orphanage? Yes, the orphanage opened by Director Lin. She was truly the heaven's chosen one. To think that he would encounter Dean Lin Lanjun after being left behind. Who could be as lucky as him? I don't think I have the chance to listen to Miss Qin's music score, right? Bei Yunj repeated the score that Qin Yojiao had played just now without missing a single detail. This scene caused goosebumps to rise all over their bodies. Even Qin Yojiao might not be able to do such a thing. In an instant, Qin Yojiao's back was filled with coldness as she stared at Bei Yunj with dark eyes. Only Mrs. Qin and Cheng Zihuai knew about this score. It was impossible for Bei Yunj to know about it. So, Bei Yunj didn't know how to play the piano at all. She had been pretending all this time. Bei Yunj, were you lying to me before? Qin Yojiao stared at Bei Yunj darkly. I thought that Miss Qin wanted me to play it so strongly because you knew that I knew how to play it. Bei Yunj said lazily. Chapter 207. If she did not go along with Bei Yunj's words at this time, everyone would think that she was deliberately making things difficult for Bei Yunj. Qin Yojiao gritted her teeth secretly. After a long time, she took a deep breath and forced a smile. I didn't expect you to be so good at the piano, Yunj. Hearing the discussions of the people around Qin Yojiao and Bei Yunj, Ling Jiwei could not help but speak up for Qin Yojiao. It's not difficult to arrange the music. That score is good to begin with. It won't be bad no matter how you change it. She's just being opportunistic. Then why don't you try being opportunistic? Yu Manran, who was beside her, said slowly. Hearing this, Ling Jiwei wanted to say something but stopped herself, her face flushing red. She bit her lip, not daring to really anger Yu Manran. Okay, this matter ends here. Qing Zihuai glanced at Bei Yunj with slightly dark eyes. Indeed, he did not expect Bei Yunj to know how to play the piano, and she was not worse than Jiao Jiao. His tone slowed down. Jiao Jiao didn't mean to make things difficult for you. There's no need to embarrass anyone in public. His meaning was obvious. Qing Zihuai planned to protect Qin Youjiao and not let her apologize. Hearing this, a smug smile appeared on Qin Youjiao's lips as she glanced at Bei Yunj provocatively. So what if she won? Zihuai was still on her side. Yunj, don't misunderstand Zihuai. Don't be unhappy because of this, Qin Youjiao bit her lip and said. Hearing this, Yu Manran was in disbelief. How could there be such a high-level green tea? Then, Yu Manran laughed coldly, putting on the airs of a spoiled young lady with ease. I don't know if Gu is happy or not, but I'm not happy. Miss Qin, don't forget. The person you promised to apologize to just now was me. Hearing this, Qin Youjiao's expression froze. Bei Yunj, what do you think of this? Qing Zihuai suddenly asked. He had been staring at Bei Yunj. This was the first time he had lowered himself to talk to her. If it was in the past, Bei Yunj would have been so happy that she would not care about anything else. I think it's better for you to shut up first. Bei Yunj spoke slowly, and Qing Zihuai's face turned ashen when he heard this. Bei Yunj, you. Bei Yunj did not even look at Qing Zihuai as he said unhurriedly, President Yu, your sister is being bullied. Aren't you going to do anything about it? Yu Hanran, who was about to watch the show, this girl was really too vicious. She treated others as tools and used them so skillfully. Yu Hanran had no choice but to step forward and walk to Yu Manran's side. He glanced at Yu Manran. Before Yu Manran could feel touched, he sneered. Yu Hanran was still flirtatious. He raised his glass of red wine to Qing Zihuai and looked a little negligent. He raised his eyebrows and said, a child of the Qing family? Qing Zihuai moved his lips but did not speak. This person's aura was a bit similar to the person from the Hua family. Although it was not that oppressive, it still made him feel a little uncomfortable. Yu Hanran's smile did not reach his eyes. Although I don't like to use my status to suppress people, Man is my family's only elder young miss after all. If the Qing family finds out that you slapped the Yu family's face in public for a little sister, will they be able to sleep? Yu Hanran gave people the feeling that he was a smiling tiger. But he could pounce over and bite someone's throat at any moment. In this venue, only Bei Yunj dared to use Yu Hanran as a tool. At this moment, Qing Zihuai's face turned red, as if he had been mocked in public. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.